We'll hang out with Matt about an hour and a half from now. And then we'll talk with Craig Brown, Into the Fountains newsletter. We'll get his thoughts on the Kansas City Royals and his assessment so far of this year. And it's been a few weeks since we've talked with Craig because he's had a couple of weeks off and then Memorial Day. So we will talk with Craig Brown coming up at noon. And also look down to the minors a little bit as well. But in an evaluation year, Brady Singer's start yesterday, back-to-back starts for him that have been pretty good. Daniel Lynch has 2 starts on the season since coming off the IL. Michael Garcia with his first home run yesterday, what he's done in his last 9 games. Michael Massey has put together a nice stretch since the beginning of May that he's batting over 300, getting on base almost 400. It's roughly 30 games, which is right around a third or a fifth of the season. So it's not a 4 or 5 game stretch, 4 or 5 game sample size for Michael Massey. So we'll talk with Craig Brown about that. And then Mick Schaefer joins us in the 1 o'clock hour, KSHB 41 Sports Director, and we'll get some Learn Funniest Best before the show is over. That is presented by Pyramid Roofing. That is about 1:30 or so. Again, 913-912-4810. Sterling Holmes hanging out with us here for the show. Sterling, what's up, man?
Vibing. Feeling good.
There you go.
Feeling good.
Can't just say, I'm good. No, you got to start with vibing. It wouldn't be Sterling if he didn't start with something like that.
Something out there.
Yes.
Well, Briscoe's gone. Someone has to come up with the eccentric way of vocabulary to keep this show going.
Not only is Briscoe gone, he might be gone for good. We don't know. Tomorrow, technically, he's supposed to be back. But I have no idea. I haven't heard from him. I don't know. I texted like the first day he was he had left, and that's really it. We haven't talked since then.
I've heard one thing. It was a like of one of my tweets at 4:45 in the morning. So,
which morning?
I don't know. It was a morning.
4:45.
It was a morning. This was a few days ago. I woke up. I heard a ding on my phone. Just a ding. I'm like, wonder who that is. Briscoe likes your tweet. 4:45 a.m. What's that guy doing?
In
Well,
Europe.
I saw that there's a housing development just outside of Las Vegas that's under construction, and they've named all the streets after Pokemon characters.
Oh,
so
there it is.
I think he's probably
Okay.
moving to Henderson, Nevada.
There we go. So is he going to do the show remotely? Are we just going to bring in Corey and Josh remotely? We got a Utah, we got a Nevada, we get a Kansas, Missouri. We get all of us together, 4
We'll
states.
catch them all, yeah.
Yes, that's a federal crime though, because it's goes from state to state. That's not just in one jurisdiction. That's an interesting one. Tex says Royals defeating the Rockies had to be the most heartbreaking loss for Denver sports fans yesterday, right? I mean, man, I don't know what's worse. You lose Game 2 of the NBA Finals, and you lose home court advantage to the Heat. You head to Miami, or you lose to the Royals. And the big talk around sports now is the teams that are heading down to Miami. It's the big talk about sports. It's the Denver Nuggets heading to Miami and the Royals heading to Miami. That's the discussion around sports. The team now heading to Miami, I'm assuming they're talking about the Royals.
It's logical. It's the only logical explanation, frankly.
Yes.
What are the odds of the Royals playing Denver and then Miami? This all comes back to Kansas City.
That's right. It's still the capital of sports. That's what I've always said.
It's welcome to the city.
Text says, another text says, that was the text of the day to start out with. Wow. That's right. This is a pretty good one. We'll get to a lot of those throughout the show. 913-912-4810. I am trying to recover from a weekend of tearing apart and putting back together with different wood our deck under the composite part of the deck, doing that, and also coaching Everett's baseball tournament. So woke up this morning, felt like I was 60, 65. I had to start stretching just to get out of bed. So many parts of my body hurt that I don't remember them hurting since maybe I played football in high school. It's been a while, so trying to recover from that. So I wasn't going to do the show today by myself. I wanted Sterling to come in. Plus, Sterling, you hung out with all the dignitaries this weekend.
Yeah,
I mean, that's awesome.
Big Slick. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm jealous, dude. Are you jealous of my weekend
Yeah,
as much as I'm jealous of yours?
Yeah, I hurt my back too, but mine was golfing, trying to get to a par 5 and 2. Yeah, same thing. Look, same thing, basically.
You also, I can't believe I tried to do that.
Yeah, I was like, you idiot! You should have taken a 3-wood. Why are you taking a utility? That's not going to get there.
Like, you idiot! Cut that. Measure twice and cut once.
Yeah.
Oh, so stupid. Oh, Band-Aid, honey, I need a Need another Band-Aid over here. No, it's not that deep. Actually, you know what? I think I can save the thumb. I think I'm just going to wrap it up, and we're going to finish this post, and then I'll go check out the hospital.
And my Mick Ultra got a little warm, so we're kind of the same
man,
the same thing.
the worst.
Yeah, seriously.
The worst.
Yeah.
So were you there for Mahomes' behind-the-back toss lob to first when by the time it got there, he was almost in the other team's dugout?
I was there on Saturday for the actual event.
For the event, awesome.
The spectacle.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
first and foremost, how cool they raised over $3 million for Children's Mercy. Over $20 million since this has been going on. I've gone to, I don't know, 6 of the events so far. My mom is the auctioneer. So I've had some fun
access.
some fun access and privileges going around this each year. So surprisingly, security gets tighter a little bit. When it started off at Voodoo Lounge, right at Harris Voodoo Lounge, then Midland, and now we're here Sprint Center or T-Mobile Center in year 13.
Man,
But over 20 million raised, and that's just a incredible number.
What year was the? Come on, Chen. What year was that? I mean, obviously
That
Bruce
might have
Schimmel
been
had
year
to-
1 because Will Ferrell came year 1.
Yeah. Okay, so that was year 1.
I don't know how many years he came, but he came year 1.
Yeah, because come on, Chen. It's one of the main things we remember from that. And then last night was awesome because, or not last night, but I think it was Friday's game when in the booth you get Paul Rudd, you get Heidi Gardner, you get Rob Riggle, and you get Jason Sudeikis. Those 4 people. And it is really cool because for so long we've known the 3 guys that are there, right? And for Heidi's star to just burst the way that it's done the last 3 or 4 years, it has been awesome to see. And for her to just be there and fit, not be like, why is she sitting there with them? It's like, no, the way her star is rising right now and being a star of Saturday Night Live and in an Adam Sandler movie and some other things, like it's been really cool.
They're all so nice, so gracious, and that's what makes us so cool. You can tell all the celebrities they bring in, they enjoy coming here because a lot of them come, 4, 5, 6 years plus because it's fun. It's not like LA. It's not like New York. The hospitality is outstanding. It's one big party on stage. Everyone's kind. To me, it's different because you go to LA, they're not getting the same experience. You're getting someone saying, hey, you sit here, you do this, you do this. Here's, hey, guys, it's open bar, relax, have fun, and that's all it is.
Yeah.
Hot Ones on stage, Travis Kelce is having himself a time.
That's
A few words you can't say on radio.
He's known to have a good time.
Yeah.
Is Travis Kelce. So what was it like? What took place there at the big event that you were able to be a part of?
Yeah, a couple fun things was George Karlaftis was bidding on a signed Patrick Mahomes ball, and I went up to him. I'm like, hey, you know that's your teammate, right? He'll probably say, he goes, no, Mahomes doesn't sign anything for us.
That's great. Karlaftis has to buy a Mahomes. If you think the access to Mahomes, if you're just a player, you get whatever you want. No, Karlaftis is out there like a commoner trying to buy a Mahomes autographed football.
And I was laughing because afterwards I was talking with Patrick, talking with Brittany Mahomes. They were on stage. I was talking with them. I told them my name was Sterling Holmes. And they both looked at me and said, that's crazy. We have a daughter named Sterling. As if everyone in the city doesn't know they have a kid named Sterling. Like, just the most normal, like the most normal conversation you have with someone is, oh, that's crazy. Like my kid is the same name as yours. And it's
No
like,
kidding.
yeah, we know. We all know this.
Met, for example, with Guaranteed Foods, met Lindsay last week and was talking, and she was like, what's your son's name? I'm like, oh, it's Everett. She's like, I have an Everett. No way! Your son's name's Everett, just like mine. That's crazy. That's one of those things, whereas the Mahomes saying, we've got a Sterling. Oh, do you?
Yeah.
You've got a Sterling.
And it's clearly named after me.
Shocker.
Like don't try and front, guys. Come on.
Did you tell him that?
No, I did not tell him that. I
Oh,
thought
I
that
would've.
might not have been the place.
No, that's when you
It
let
was a
him
little
know.
loud. It was a little
No,
loud.
you
there.
just hang out. Like, you name it after.
You named it after me, right? Of
Name
course.
it after me. Come on, man. I mean, great. You see the looks here. I mean, it's going to be great. It's just there's only 2 letters that really, 3 letters.
Yeah,
that
but
really
if you
separate
say it quick, it's
Sterling
just
Mahomes,
2.
Sterling Holmes.
He did say you need to add a ma. He did say you have to add a ma.
What
to
if
your-
you said that?
your
Well,
name.
my middle name's Ma.
Yeah, it is.
Sterling Mahomes. I'm named after my ma. I can't be a junior, but Ma, let's go with the auction. Ma, let's roll with the auction. Here we go. Sterling Mahomes.
I also was laughing because I live a farcical life, is what I like to say. I end up in random places sometimes when I probably should not be there. But I was laughing to my girlfriend. I said, what if we just ended up leaving and we ended up in the VIP area, or the area where the party bus is at, where they take them to the after party? We're walking out. I have horrible sense of direction. I mean, it is abysmal. This is not on purpose. I wish I had good directional sense. I do not. We end up in the party bus area.
But that was on accident.
It was an accident.
That wasn't a move.
It wasn't a move.
Yeah.
And my girlfriend's sitting there like, wow, you know your way around here, don't you? And I'm
Yes,
like,
I do.
I'm like, yes, this was all planned.
Yeah. Also, the first time you've heard that from her.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
So you end up in the party bus section.
Yeah, and then
did you get on the party bus with anybody?
I could have. They were, come on in. And I'm like, no.
That's when you just
I'm
got to
good.
go with the crowd.
I have
man.
a dog. I have a dog at home. I'm a responsible dog owner.
What's the point?
I got to go home and let him out. I can't stay out till 4:30.
The dog would understand. What if you went home and was like, dog, guess what?
Yeah.
What? So excited to see you. You know, just
Yeah,
wants to hear about the stories of your night. And if you told the dog what you were doing, dog would understand.
He would understand.
Yeah.
Or he'd probably just cock his head a little bit and be like,
Hmm?
I don't know.
Yeah. And then you would have to understand that there's poop and pee on the
On the
carpet.
floor,
Yeah,
all over it. It
absolutely.
would be a perpetual
So,
nightmare.
Yes, it's an understanding of two different people look, I understand why you stayed. You also have to understand why this happened over here.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
an understanding that we would come to,
Yeah.
but I didn't do it, and I kind of wish I did.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you
Yeah.
got home and the dog was asleep and was like, I don't even care to see you. I'm just going to sleep through it. And you're like, hey, let's not. No, I don't need to go to the bathroom.
And so I called my mom to see, because she ended up going to the after party.
She didn't have a dog?
She didn't have a dog.
Okay.
No, my dad, if he counts, but I don't know.
Does he have to be let out from
Yeah,
time to time?
sometimes.
I've got to go. I got to let my husband out.
But I asked how it was. She led the story with, I won $26. I'm like, okay. Yeah, I was playing poker. I'm like, oh, okay.
Cool.
Neat. Yeah, with Paul Rudd and those guys. Lead with that next
I
time.
think you buried the lead. I'm at a poker table with Paul Rudd and Sudeikis and Riggle, and I won $26. That's typically how you would start. You don't even need to say how much you won.
26 isn't even a big number.
Right. It's just that, dude. And I don't know if she calls you dude or not. That'd be cool.
Occasionally, yeah. Occasionally,
Yes,
yeah.
Sterling. I got to play poker last night with Paul Rudd and Ted Lasso, and it was just so much fun. And then you're like, "Hey, did you win any money?" I won $26. It seems like those things are in reverse. Like, I
Yes.
won $26. Good for you. Awesome. Well, I'm gonna go let the dog out, so that's
Yeah.
why I came home.
That's
to do
why I
that.
came home. So I
appreciate it.
See, the ages, I think, that's the
Yeah.
key is we don't have a dog. See, if I didn't have a dog, I'm out all night.
Right. Yeah. My son led a story the other day. Actually, it was a couple weekends ago. I'm outside working in the yard, and he comes out, and wife is running an errand, and he's like, "Daddy, Jules is crying." I'm like, "Okay, what's wrong?" Well, I think she got hurt. Okay, she's gonna she probably will need a Band-Aid. I'm like, she'll need a Band-Aid? Like, is she bleeding? Yeah, it's a lot of blood. Lead with that. Lead with there's a lot of blood, Dad. Lead with, okay, Daddy, hurry. Jules got hurt. She's bleeding. Okay, I don't need to know about crying.
Yeah.
I appreciate how calm he was. He's got a future in being a paramedic. Showing up to a situation calm. Let's relay the information. Here's what's happening. While all these things might be going on around you, we need to be calm, cool, collected, Dad. We do have a little bit of an issue. She is crying. Just so you know, when you walk in there, I want you to know there's going to be a loud screaming coming from her because she is crying. I don't want you to
So
be
wear
caught off guard by
earplugs.
that.
Basically,
Yeah.
he was saying wear earplugs.
Yes,
Yeah.
I don't want you to be caught off guard by that. So, but when you get there, you will see that she is injured. You might want to have a Band-Aid or something ready because there is a lot of blood. This is all just to lead up to let you know. Also, Dad, I won $26 playing poker the other night with Jason Sudeikis. So sorry you weren't there. We don't even have a dog.
Yeah.
That was an odd story that he told. It was weird. No, but that is awesome, man. I love the event being in town. I'm mad at myself because I have never made it to the Big Slick event yet. Haven't made it to a game. Haven't made it to the softball game. Haven't made it to the actual event. And I'm mad that I have not been able to do that. We've had every year it comes up. We're like, well, we got that going on that weekend. So, not going to be able to do that particular weekend because we got this. Oh, we got a baseball tournament. Oh, we're going to be out of town. With it being over Memorial Day, we typically, or the weekend after Memorial Day, sometimes on Memorial, sometimes the week before, whatever, we might be out of town or heading
Sure.
back, and just it hasn't worked out. But I'm going to make it my mission.
No, I'm glad
that next
Daughtry
year-
and I'm glad Daughtry and David Cook and all these celebrities,
Yeah.
Darius Ruck. I'm glad they could make it. They could find time,
Yeah.
but Jason Anderson's just too busy.
You don't understand how busy my schedule. I don't know what they do or where they live, but this is a pretty busy schedule. Were they coaching a baseball tournament this weekend? So that's what I would ask him. Keckner, do you have a baseball? Do you coach your son's team in a baseball
Keckner
tournament?
actually wasn't there because he's with his kids. That was a fun fact. Keckner wasn't there this 1 year.
So
'cause
maybe
was with
he
his kids.
does coach a baseball
Yeah,
tournament.
he might actually coach a baseball
see, there you
tournament,
go.
yeah.
What about you, Lasso? Huh? You coach? I'm going to go coach soccer over in Europe. You coach your kid's baseball tournament? You do that? Huh? He's probably a better coach. I don't know, because his team.
I think you're the sucker. Whoever's
Yeah.
the coach of the baseball team, that's the sucker.
Is that right?
They're like, hey, Jason, you talk sports, right? You're the head coach.
No,
you're coach, baby.
I'm not even the head coach. I'm just the hey, help out here. The head coach. I'll let him do that.
Oh, you're the Clementine guy.
That's exactly right. Yes.
He's the Clementine guy.
We don't even want you coaching third. There's a lot of decisions. I need you to coach first.
Yeah.
You go, good hit. All right. Wait, run. Come on. Dig. Go all the way through. Get her. Yeah. Hey, round it, turn. Go. That's my job. And it's coach pitch, so I don't even have to, it's machine pitch, so I don't have to come back. Or, hey, this is his move. Like, first pitch, go. Don't have to do any of that stuff. It's just,
No, you're just-
hey, all right, we got 2 outs. You run on anything. All right? Running on anything. Fly ball. Go, depending on where it's
Do
at,
they
go about
get that
halfway
at that
pause.
age?
They do.
Do they? Okay.
Yep, he's 7.
Okay, so he's getting there, yeah.
We've coached these boys for about 3 years now, from T-ball to coach pitch to machine pitch. So they have a pretty decent understanding of some of the base running rules of if you're at second base, nobody at first base, ground ball to your right, you don't have to go. We're pretty good at that. We have mastered. We don't run into too many outs on the right side just because the ground ball is to third or shortstop and there's nobody at first. We're pretty good at that. We're still learning the whole force and tag. Force out tag play. That's been an issue. That's difficult. That is one of the more difficult because the other teams we play, it's the same thing. Like all the 7-year-old teams, and we played some pretty competitive baseball. And so even in the teams we play, our kid sliding in a second and kid catches the ball, with his foot on second and looks around and all the kids are like, he's out! Like, what's a tag play? So no, he is safe. So I think that's an issue with all kids that are 6, 7 years old is figuring out the tag versus the force out because you're taught so much of step on the bag. All right, step on the bag. Okay, this guy's going to second. Who's going to guard second? Okay, shortstop. You go. You got second base. Toss it to him or first base. Keep your foot on the bag. Force outs. Now it's
I couldn't
no.
do
You
it.
got to tag that.
I couldn't do it.
You realize quickly how difficult baseball is to teach.
Yeah, soccer's just kick a ball.
run.
Basketball, even to an extent, you're just, hey, pass, set some screens. We're in a 2-3 zone or man defense.
Try to work on some inbound plays or things like that, which can be difficult. But the point of the game is to defend and shoot.
Yeah.
Baseball, it's like, which base do I throw to? When do I run? When don't I run? Who's throwing over here? Who's throwing over there? How many outs are there? Is a fly ball, do I stop? Do I go? What's a tag up? I have no idea.
Which dip do I put in? Is it grizzly wintergreen? Is it going to be
a big one.
Is it a long cut? Is it a pouch? You don't know.
Yeah, I'll take your word for that on those, but it's a big deal with the kids, and sometimes you get bubble gum, and that's the biggest thing of the day. Or in the middle of a tournament game and they're losing, they're like, well, do we get third place? It's the third inning, guys. Why don't we just go out and play? Let's see what happens here. Let's go play until the umpires call the game 6 minutes shorter than
Wow.
the actual game time. So
Are you heated? Are you the dad that goes out there and gets heated?
No, see, I don't complain about outs or safe. Those things happen. That doesn't matter to me. But when we're trailing in a game and we're the home team, and if we score 3 more runs, we force another inning.
Yeah.
Right. Because of the max runs you can get in an inning at that age. So the game started at 11:03. It's an hour and 15-minute game. That would take it to what, 12:18. It's 12:09.
Wow.
And they say, ball game. Like, no. We've still got 9 minutes, man. There's it's time limit. Because they knew if we got 3 more, we had 2 men on, 1 out. It's machine pitch. All right, you're going to put the ball in play. You're going to score some runs.
Yeah.
We needed 3 runs to force another inning. We're the home team, so it'd be a full inning. And we're about 5 minutes away from the game being time limit. And all of a sudden, that's time limit. Got to go. Because if we get 3 runs, all of a sudden, it's a new inning.
All of a
They
sudden,
don't want to be out there.
It's an extra 15 minutes. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but this is a tournament, man. We're paying to be here. So that was a little frustrating. A little frustrating how we played, but the best team ended up winning the tournament. They were freaking good. Northland Storm. They were awesome. It's a really good team. So congratulations to them, our kids. That's fine. Hey, you know what? They got the 1 seed after the round robin, after the pool play, but just couldn't back it up.
I am picturing
Probably
you.
coaching.
I'm picturing you wearing full-on baseball pants, the belt, the shirt tucked in, like you're a real head coach. Clipboard in one hand.
No.
I'm really picturing this right now.
T-shirt and a hat. Cleats. No,
he's cleated up, and they're metal too.
No.
He's taking it serious. They're metal cleats.
I wear my golf shoes out there to coach because it gives them a little bit of it's a little bit of cleat, right? Just a little
cleat.
It's a little bit of grip. Like I needed some coaching shoes, so I'm like, I don't have any random shoes that are like old, except for ones that are raggedy.
It's your mowing shoes.
Exactly. That's typically what I would wear out there. But then like the dirt gets into the shoe because it might be like the sole might be flapping around. You know?
Sure, yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? Why don't I just wear these black Nikes that I wear to play golf in? Great, done. So that's what I've been wearing for the last year or two. So yeah, there you go. That's my weekend. You were at Big Slick, and I was helping build a deck and coach a baseball tournament. So roughly the same. And you played golf. Good for you.
Yeah, we both got injured.
One swinging to try to drive the green in a par 5 in his second shot. The other one trying to put together some hanging joists, some stair stringers, and some new wood there that's been rotted out in the old ones. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll talk about the NBA Finals. We'll get into a little Major League Baseball. We will talk about some NFL as well. Travis Kelce was on, this was last week actually, he was on the Run It Back podcast. I did not see this, but talked about whether or not the Chiefs are a dynasty. I want to hear from that. Fun post game for the Nuggets with a fan from Miami calling in. A lot of other stuff to get into. 913-912-4810 is the text line. 913-912-4810, the text line to be a part of the show. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone right after this.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Look, the weather in the Midwest in the spring, we know, can get pretty rough. Pyramid Roofing has you taken care of. Tornadoes, high winds, hailstorms. It can take a beating on your roof. Your house, more than likely the biggest investment that you've made. So you want to make sure you call a company with integrity, honesty, great people who are going to do the job right the first time. It's Pyramid Roofing. You get some storms that come in town. You get some storm-chasing roofing companies that come in town, and all of a sudden something happens with your roof. You try to call them, and they aren't around. That's not the case with Pyramid Roofing, a company that has been in Kansas City for over 30 years. Pyramid Roofing. They changed out all of the gutters for us. We needed to get some bigger gutters, bigger downspouts, all of that. They took care of it for us. The gutter guards on top of that as well, fixed some things around the gutters, a little bit of roof repair as well, and Pyramid Roofing took care of all of that for us. It's the only call you need to make, 816-966-1101. It's Pyramid Roofing, 816-966-1101. Check them out, pyramidroofingkc.com.
Play in June and July to earn.
913-912-4810. 913-912-4810. Appreciate the texts that are coming in. Very nice. Let's talk some NBA Finals here as the Heat tie the series 1-1. The series now heading back to Miami. And let's hear from Eric Spoelstra first because I like this. This is it starts with Ramona Shelburne's question to Eric Spoelstra, and it's about Jokic had the points last night, not the triple-double. The assists weren't there like they were in the first game. Here's the question to Eric Spoelstra, and it's about what they may have done differently in trying to dictate how Nikola Jokic plays.
Hey, Coach. Ramona Shelburne, ESPN. This is probably oversimplifying things, but sometimes when teams play against Jokic, you turn him into a scorer, you turn him into a passer, and he controls the game. He only had 4 assists tonight.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. It's just that's the untrained eye that says something like that. This guy's an incredible player. Twice in 2 seasons he's been the best player on this planet. You can't just say, oh, make him a scorer. That's not how they play. They have so many different actions that just get you compromised. We have to focus on what we do. We try to do things the hard way, and he requires you to do many things the hard way. He has our full respect. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
The untrained eye. You forced Jokic to be a scorer. I don't know how often people force him to really be a scorer, if you will. I mean, there are a number of assists that happen in basketball that are sort of an easy assist. You get the ball, you swing it out to somebody else, they take a shot, knock it down. All of a sudden, I got an assist for just passing the ball out to a guy who hits a shot. And the Nuggets in the first half of Game 1 were knocking down shots all day. There was some phenomenal passes from Jokic in that game when he had 8 or 9 assists in the first half of game number 1, but they also were knocking down some threes. Second half, they didn't knock down many threes. Fourth quarter, all of that we know with game 1. In this one, they just weren't hitting really at any point in the game. They hit 3 of their 8 threes in the final 2 minutes of the game. They had only hit 5 in the game, and then Gordon hits 1, Murray hits a couple, and then they missed the last one to tie the game. They weren't shooting it all that well. And we're not shooting it all that well. You can't be Nikola Jokic and just say, well, I get an open shooter, boom, pass it out, I'm going to get an assist. Well, no, he missed the shot. Yeah. So he turns into a scorer because there's a part of it that he had to be that guy because others around him. That's what makes him special is that, okay, these guys are knocking down shots. Cool. I'll score 16 and have 14 assists because they're hitting threes and I'm hitting twos. So let's do that. He's smart enough to understand that. And in last night's game, he has 4 assists. Guys weren't knocking down shots. I think it is pretty simplistic to go, you turned Jokic into a scorer, and he scored 41, but guys around him didn't score that many. That's why you guys won the game, even though they ended up scoring 4 more points in this game than they did in Game 1, the Nuggets.
What it came down to was Miami Heat, they actually made shots. Max Struss was an 0 for 9 from 3. That's a big difference. And I'll also say, Michael Porter Jr., this pains me to say as a Mizzou alum, he was unplayable in this game.
He wasn't good.
He was 1 of 6 from 3. He took some of the most ill-advised shots out there. He'll have an open shot, dribble into a contested shot. Like he's J.R. Smith. Makes no sense. I will give Christian Brown a ton of credit because he actually played very well. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope had a horrendous game as well. He fouled 2 3-point shooters to give him 6 free throws. I like KCP too. He's been a playoff dude for a long time with the Lakers, with the Nuggets. But it wasn't Jokic. You're right. Jokic was forced to be a scorer. And again, Miami, at times, they would have a wing on him. It would be Gabe Vincent at one point that was on him, and then they're trying to double him, and he would just bully his way in there quickly. Mm-hmm. Because, again, Michael Porter Jr., KCP, they weren't knocking down shots.
And Jamal Murray was not hitting threes either. I mean, again, he hit 3. He was 3 of 8 for the game. And he went 2 of 3 in the final, 2 minutes of that game. So he was 1 of 5 before that from 3?
I will also say I think the biggest difference was they put Kevin Love as a starter in this game. And you look at the box score, 2 of 9. But if you watch that game, that was the best 2 of 9 I think I've ever seen from anyone. My girlfriend saw Kevin Love and goes, "Is that the head coach? That gray-haired man, is that the head coach? Is he like an assistant? Is that an assistant over there?" And she watches a lot of basketball, but Kevin Love didn't play game 1.
Yeah.
But the insertion of him into the game was huge because he was on Aaron Gordon. And Gordon's not a shooter, if you will. He was wide open, and he wouldn't shoot. But that was massive because Gordon was bullying. Caleb Martin was bullying Gabe Vincent, Max Struss early on.
Yeah.
So what they do? Kevin Love, insert him on him. To me, this was coaching more than anything else.
Yeah.
Spoelstra out-coached Malone.
It was coaching, but also I think you hit the nail on the head at the beginning there. I mean, it was hitting shots. I mean, in the first game, the Heat were 13 of 39, and they scored 98 points. They were 17 of 35. If the Heat are going to shoot 50% from 3, they're winning the series. I'll just say that right now. If the Heat have 3 more games where they hit 50% from 3 with 35 attempts, I'll put my money on the Heat to win the series, especially when you counter that with the Nuggets shooting 30% from behind the arc and, fewer attempts, but they had fewer attempts, but they also were minus 18 points from behind the arc in that game, whereas they were not that in game number 1.
Let me ask you this. Did this seem unrealistic, though, for the Heat? I know they went 17 to 35, but if you notice the first game, they had a lot of wide-open looks, and again, Max Struss went 0 for 9 from 3, 0 for 10 from the field. You look at this game, same thing, a lot of open looks. What I said after game 1 was if you're a Miami Heat fan, don't get down. You got open looks. They didn't fall. That's not going to be the case the entire series. You look at what happened this game, they fell. Now, again, you're probably going to shoot 50% the whole time, but let's say 40%. None of these numbers from these guys look unrealistic. Max, 4 of 10. Is that unrealistic?
No.
Is
What's Duncan, 2 of 3? 2 of 4? What was Duncan Robinson?
2 of 3.
2 of 3.
Is Kevin Love 2 of 6? Is that unrealistic? Is Jimmy Butler 2 of 5? Gabe Vincent's the only one that really shot extremely well, 4 of 6. But again, that's not extremely unrealistic for how open he was.
Yeah, the Miami Heat, and one of the things that was talked about after they won the Eastern Conference Finals was how well they're shooting the ball in the playoffs. And Spoelstra was like, it's a little. That's kind of a stat that doesn't tell the true story because last year they were at the end of the year, second half of the season. A year ago, they were one of the better three-point shooting teams. They had just struggled this year. They were 27th in the NBA in three-point shooting, but against the Bucks, they shot 45%. They won that series. Against the Celtics, they shot 44%, and they won that series. Against the Knicks, they did not shoot that well, but they didn't need to shoot that well. Yeah. They end up winning it without, going crazy from behind the arc. This is a series where it is imperative that they shoot as well against the Nuggets that they did against Boston and they did against Milwaukee. They cannot win a series the way they did against the Knicks if they're not shooting the ball that way. Game number 1, they didn't shoot it that way. Game number 2, they did. It's not that the Miami Heat are the ones that will dictate the game, but Michael Malone, talked about that, he didn't think they played all that well in game number 1. In fact, let's hear that real quick. Let's hear Michael Malone because I think this goes along with what we've seen in these 2 games. From game 1 reaction to coming out of game 2 reaction. Here's Michael Malone, and he weighs in on kind of the effort and the way they've played in these first 2 games.
I mean, this is the NBA Finals, and we're talking about effort. That's a huge concern of mine. And you guys probably thought I was just making up some storyline after game 1 when I said we didn't play well. We didn't play well. And tonight, that the starting lineup to start the game is 10-2 Miami. Start the third quarter. They scored 11 points in 2 minutes and 10 seconds. And we just got, we had guys out there that were just, whether feeling sorry for themselves for not making shots or thinking they can just turn it on or off. This is not the preseason. This is not the regular season. It's not round. This is the NBA Finals. And that, to me, is really, really perplexing, disappointing.
He had mentioned also, look, I don't think we played well in game 1. You guys weren't believing me when I told you we did not play well in game 1. And, just because we had won that game by 11 points doesn't mean that we played all that great. The Heat scored 30 points in the fourth quarter of game 1. It was like, okay, did they figure something out? They scored 36 in the fourth quarter last night. So those are their two highest scoring quarters of the 8. Fourth quarter game 1, fourth quarter game 2. Differences in game 1, they were down by so much it didn't matter. Yeah. They were just sort of kind of made. They're within 9. They're within 7. This is crazy. Well, yeah. This one is they're leading. They're down by 1. They're up by 2. They're up by 3. They're up by 9 in this game by scoring 36 points in the fourth quarter against the Denver Nuggets. And one of the things that, Michael Porter Jr. was awesome in game number 1. He was not good in game number 2. And that's exactly who Michael Malone was talking about there. Yeah. When he said whether guys are down because they're not making shots. I mean, this is the NBA Finals. That was Michael Porter Jr. In game number 1, he was knocking down shots and he was everywhere. He was defending. He was rebounding. He was blocking shots. This one, he wasn't knocking down shots. He then wasn't rebounding. And then he wasn't there on his assignments at times. The and one for Bam Adebayo didn't get over there and help out in time. And then, goes up and tries to block the shot and hits Bam in the elbow. That's how far away he was from actually blocking Bam Adebayo's shot. It's one of the last minutes that he was out there in the game, because then he was taken out of the game. And then he came back late when Kentavious Caldwell-Pope fouled out with like a minute and a half to go. Then Michael Porter Jr. comes back in the game. But he wasn't all that good, and that's who Michael Malone was talking about in that particular clip. Because Michael Porter Jr. can do a lot for this Denver Nuggets team, because you know about Jokic, you know about Jamal Murray. If Michael Porter Jr. is playing the way that he did in game number 1 with 10 rebounds, a couple of assists, a couple blocks, 14 points, knocking down threes, it's a massive difference maker. Because also what you may get from Aaron Gordon, what you may get from Bruce Brown, that can be a huge difference in the game. Because if Jokic gets his and Jamal Murray scores his 20, 25 points, all right, there's 60 points. Where do the other 45 come from? Who's going to do that? Who's going to score those 45? And last night, there weren't a whole lot of guys that were stepping up and knocking down a bunch of big shots. Or I should say, the guy in game 1 who was doing that was not doing that in game 2.
Yeah, Michael Porter Jr. is now 3 of 17 from the three-point line in this series. That's not ideal. But again, game 1, he was very good defensively. He added something. Game 2, again, pains me as a Mizzou guy. Christian Braun was the difference maker for a while for Denver.
Yep, he was really good. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling a couple of other points from this particular game. We'll get into some baseball as the Royals do take game number 3 from the Rockies. But really, I mean, we focus on records, wins and losses. Who really cares? Yesterday's story was about Brady Singer. Story the other day was about Daniel Lynch, Garcia hitting a home run, Barlow pitching the way that he did, Aroldis Chapman pitching the way that he did. Those parts of what can help the future. Chapman and Barlow in trade pieces, Garcia, Brady Singer, Daniel Lynch, and maybe what they can do as a part of the team. We'll talk about those things coming up in the 11 o'clock hour. Matt Verderame joins us at 11:30. More Zone coming up next.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. 913-912-4810 is the text line to join us, 913-912-4810. I am glad the Heat won last night because it becomes more of a series. If it was one of those where the Nuggets went and won this game by 20, it's like, all right, well, this is going to be the coronation to the Nuggets. After game number one, when we talked on Friday, I wasn't expecting the Heat to win game two. I thought they would hit some open shots, but I thought the Nuggets still had another level that they could get to. And it was interesting the way that the Heat came out and the Nuggets didn't really answer that. But then they took the lead and they, eventually got back into their game and home court advantage and things like that. But this Heat team has shown time and time again that they don't go away quietly. If the Nuggets or anybody, maybe myself included, thought that this was going to be a 4 or 5 game series, I picked the Nuggets in 6. It's where my money is there with my mouth, with the Nuggets in 6. So I'm appreciative of the Heat winning this one. Now they just need to steal one more along the way. And I say that as somebody that thinks the Nuggets are going to win, but it might be disrespectful to the Miami Heat to say, boy, if they can just steal one more. They went to Denver and won game 2. The series tied 1-1. It's not 2-0, and they took one, and now down 3-1, and let's steal one more, and then they can win in 6. It's 1-1 series, and to me there was nothing fluky about what happened in the game last night, even the Miami Heat and the three-point shooting, because if this was a Heat team that went through the playoffs and shot like 35%, and then last night they shoot 49% from 3, it'd be like, all right, that's not happening. But again, we said they beat the Celtics by shooting 44% from behind the arc, and they beat the Bucks by shooting 45% from behind the arc. So in a one-game sample size where they shoot 49%, that's not some crazy thing that can't be duplicated, especially when now you're going to be playing at your home court.
Well, it's not Udonis Haslem hitting threes. Their team is built around three-point shooters.
What if it was, though, Udonis Haslem hitting threes?
Very impressive.
Guy turns 43 this week.
But Duncan Robinson, what's he in the game for?
Yeah, shoot
to
threes.
hit threes. What's Max Struss in the game for?
Hit threes.
Gabe Vincent, to an extent, hit threes. They're three-point shooters. That's what this team is built around, expecting those guys to not hit. That's what they do best. Okay? Be expecting like Chris Paul to not have assists.
Yeah,
He's going to get his. Duncan Robinson's going to hit his shots. And by the way, this is all done without their second leading scorer, Tyler Hero.
Yep.
I said it in Game 7 against Boston. I said it last night before the game. I said, they're going to win this game. Every time when everyone counts them out, the entire national media goes, oh, it's going to be over in 4, going to be over in 5. What happens? They win that game. It's what they do. They're too well coached. And again, I keep going back to Game 1. I agree with Malone. Malone, they didn't play great Denver Game 1. I didn't think they played great, but they got a victory.
And that was one of the reasons why I'm like, they didn't play well, and they still won by 11. So even if Miami hits some shots and Denver improves their game, we'll see what happens.
I just saw Miami's ball movement, the fact they got that many open looks. Denver cannot stop a slip screen. A lot of that was Michael Porter Jr. could not. They got so befuddled on slip screens. It was incredible. But again, and then it goes back to Coach Spoelstra. I think he's such a damn good head coach. Inserting Kevin Love into the starting lineup to make sure you take away Aaron Gordon's bully ball. That was so smart.
Yep. And he did not do it at the end of Game 1. Kevin Love didn't play a minute of Game 1. And Haywood Highsmith stayed in the game. Caleb Martin stayed on the bench. He wasn't good. And then I guess last night he's sick. They've ruled out COVID, but he's sick and having migraines, and so that's why he didn't play as much last night as well. But he brought in Haywood Highsmith, and there was a lot of talk about, well, I mean, Kevin Love isn't playing in this game. Aaron Gordon's doing this, and Kevin Love's still sitting on the bench. Darvin Ham, in the fourth quarter of Game 1 in the Western Conference Finals, switched up and put Rui Hachimura on Nikola Jokic and let Anthony Davis sort of roam. And I wonder if Darvin Ham would have just said, this is the adjustment we're going to make in Game 2. We're not winning today, but we're also not going to give away what our adjustment's going to be. Yeah. So then Michael Malone and the Nuggets can adjust to that, which they did and won Game 2.
Yeah.
Erik Spoelstra did not make, even when the Heat were coming back in the fourth quarter in Game 1, he did not go to what eventually would be the adjustment he was going to make. He was waiting for Game 2 to do that. Could be, just experience of somebody that's been there, done that coached in a lot of series, has been to the NBA Finals a couple times without LeBron, has been to the NBA Finals a couple times, and knows that, it could take a miracle for us to win this one. And if I make an adjustment, then maybe we get back into it. But are we going to win? No. Does it give us a better chance to win game 2 if I hold off on the adjustment I'm going to make? And he did. Maybe it would have mattered, maybe it would not have mattered. But it's interesting, Kevin Love plays 0 minutes in game 1, starts and plays 22 minutes in game 2.
Yeah. I also say keep a lookout for Tyler Hero. I mean, game 3 has been the target point for a while now. Yeah. If he comes back, that's another weapon for Miami. Mm-hmm. Again, very good team, very different styles. Both try and play bully ball, but a little different way. If Tyler Hero's back, though, that's a huge advantage for Miami.
I do wonder how much he'll play, what kind of shape he'll be in. You're talking about a team that's in the middle of the NBA Finals, and Hero hasn't played in a couple of months. And does he get back in? It'll be off the bench, right?
Sure.
And get sparing moments, but knocking down open shots.
A shot creator.
You know he can do that. Yeah.
15 minutes instead of Caleb Martin. 15 minutes for a shot creator is huge.
Yep, absolutely. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. I want to talk some baseball, some Royals baseball on the other side of the break. We'll get into Brady Singer, some other points there, and then we'll hang out with Matt Verderam from Sports Illustrated talking some football. More Zone next.
You know it's coming. The heat, the humidity, the high energy bills from forcing your AC into overdrive. If you want to beat the heat, call Window Nation today. Yeah, Window Nation. Replacing your old windows can be the most important thing you do to seal out savage summer swelter and keep cool and comfortable in your home, all while saving money. Right now, Window Nation will give you 2 windows free for every 2 you buy. Plus, you'll put 0 money down, make 0 payments, and pay 0 interest for 2 full years. That's like windows at half price and making free money for 24 months. And when you buy from Window Nation, you're also getting award-winning customer service, certified professional installation, premium materials, and the best warranty on labor, materials, glass, and window. This Beat the Heat summer sale won't last long. Call Window Nation now at 866-90-NATION or go online at windownation.com. Get 2 windows free with every 2 purchased with no money down, no payments, and no interest payments for 2 full years. Window Nation, 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com.
Hey guys, Matt Coker here from West Coast Men's Health to let you know that you don't have to take Viagra for the rest of your life. Acoustic wave therapy has changed the game. Trust me, I've seen guys come in who have completely given up, only to see them back in the game after going through our treatment program. So call West Coast Men's Health today.
Call 913-243-3200. That's 913-243-3200. 913-243-3200. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
WHB Kansas City.
Visit Parkville this summer for a variety of family-friendly activities. Explore the Parkville Nature Sanctuary and discover one of the best waterfalls in the region. Learn more about their summer nature camp June 6th through the 9th. Parkville Parks and Rec offers over 200 acres of parks, including English Landing and Platte Landing parks along the beautiful Missouri River banks. Hike, bike, and even bring your pups to one of the largest dog parks in the area. Come discover all that Parkville has to offer. Produced in cooperation with Visit Missouri.
Hey Kansas City, it's Justin Reed, safety for your Kansas City Chiefs. As you know, it was a great first year here in Kansas City. And that's right, the whole time I was driving my F-150 from Victory Ford.
Come in today and check out our great selection of F-150s and experience the Victory Ford difference.
Brian Pringle and his team at Victory Ford are not only a world-class dealership with great selection of new and pre-owned vehicles and top-notch customer service, but also a great partner with the J. Reed and D Foundation.
Visit us today at the Legends or VictoryFordKC.com, where our first price is better than their last.
Looking for the ultimate lawn care solution? Look no further than Spartan Mowers, available exclusively at Shawnee Cycle and Power Sports. Spartan Mowers deliver unmatched power and precision, making mowing a breeze. And right now, Shawnee Cycle Plaza and Power Sports is offering incredible discounts on Spartan Mowers. Don't miss out on these limited time savings up to 17% off. Spartan Mowers at Shawnee Cycle and Power Sports, the choice for a perfectly manicured lawn. Brought to you by Spartan Mowers and Shawnee Cycle and Power Sports, 13020 Shawnee Mission Parkway, Shawnee, Kansas.
The Dell Technologies Summer Sale event is on with limited quantity deals on top tech. Save on select PCs powered by the latest Intel Core processors like Thin and Light XPS 13 laptops, Inspiron laptops, and 2-in-1s. Plus, get savings on select accessories, free shipping, and monthly payment options with Dell Preferred Account. It's the perfect season to power your passions during Dell's Summer Sale event. Save today by calling 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL. Offered to U.S. residents by WebBank, who determines qualifications for and terms of credit.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Game 3 of the NBA Finals coming up on Wednesday, so there was a little bit more time for Tyler Hero to get healthy. There was a chance he would play in Game 2. There was talk of that, but as you said, Sterling, it was more of a target date of Game 3 at home in Miami. That will be coming up on Wednesday. If he was close to playing last night, then logic tells me he would be closer to playing on Wednesday. Jason Anderson, Sterling Holmes, the Drake. We had up until 2 o'clock. We'll talk with Matt Verderam coming up later on this hour, talking some NFL football. Mick Schaefer will join us in the 1 o'clock hour, Learn Funniest Best. Do you have your Learn Funniest Best for today, Sterling? Got to come up with that before 1:30. Don't worry, you only have 2.5 hours to figure out what you learned this weekend, what the funniest from the weekend was, and what the best from the weekend was.
There's this learned right there.
I learned about Learn Funniest Best.
Learn that you will be a part of Learn Funniest Best. It's not just going to be Mick and I. Drake,
no, I did it last Monday, and I learned that there was a video here, and that's how I learned when I was doing my push-ups in between that I was actually being viewed by people, and that's not...
No, it's cool. No,
not great.
Not a big deal. Just like, oh, we're on video. Let me do some push-ups here. Let me do some push-ups and some sit-ups, some squats, and some lunges. Maybe get some lunges in while people are watching. You know, like Russell Wilson over here. You're going to be doing calisthenics while we're trying to do a radio show at the same time. 913-912-4810 is the text line to be a part of the show. I want to talk some Royals baseball, and they head to Miami, and unfortunately they will not face off against Yuri Perez, which I wanted to see Yuri Perez against the Royals, but he will not start any of these 3 games. I thought he started Friday, but I guess not. So they won't see him. He's one of the younger studs in baseball. That would have been cool to see, but they don't face off against him, and so they get ready for this 3-game set, and then they head to Baltimore for 3 before returning back home, but really, opponent, record, score, all of that stuff becomes immaterial as it's gotten this bad at sitting 18-41 right now. I thought things were going to be a lot better once they got to 17-38. It was 17-38. Now they were really going to take off, but they are just 1-3 since then and almost got swept by the Rockies. But in an evaluation year, as we've talked about it a lot, the only part of the record that mattered to me was whether the Royals were going to get over 69.5 wins. They are not, so I'm going to go ahead and chalk that up for that's not going to see a return on that particular investment. That was dumb. But should have known that when it's like the over seems obvious here. If the over was obvious, then Vegas would increase the number, would increase the wins if the over was that obvious.
Surprisingly, they're not in the business of losing money. I know. It's a crazy concept.
I can't wait till I become smarter than Vegas. I'm going to get there one day. If I just keep losing a lot of money, eventually I'll figure out.
You build your house like those palatial, the columns and everything, a fountain when you walk in.
That's right. Exactly right. Yes, I'm already working on the deck, so I'm halfway there, just building columns and fountains. That's what I'm going to do. But really, I mean, this season about, what the assessment is, what we're seeing, and are there pieces and chips for these players that can be a part of it? Or do we find out that, they really don't have much at all, and you got to go and supplement with trades or supplement with free agent signings or whatever that might be. Brady Singer with the outing yesterday was pretty good, and glad that he was able to do that and go out there and have 7 strikeouts, no walks, no runs in the game, which was good. Handing it over to the bullpen, which is, struggled at times and also had a stretch of being really good. But Chapman and Barlow did what they did. Here's Matt Quatraro just weighing in on the outing for Brady Singer yesterday.
First of all, I think it's fastball command, too. He did a good job of elevating when he had to, but also pitching to the corners. And then the slider, I don't know exactly how the metrics look, but it looked like it had some better depth at times when he needed to get under the left-handed bat or expand with the righties. And again, even that, it's command. He put some in really good spots when he needed to.
You worried at all about that rain delay, not being able to send him back out? How did that whole thing go down for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, he was going back out, and then the rain popped up. I thought it was about 12 minutes or so I didn't think that was that big a deal. But we had, regardless of whether it rained or not, Clarkie was going to be up to start, when Brady went back out. So I thought it was important for Brady to get the chance to get those guys out, and his stuff looked like it merited it today.
When you say it was important for him, what do you mean by that?
To build on, I mean, I think that's who we think he is. That's who he is going to be for us. When things turn, he's going to be a guy that goes 6-7 innings for us consistently, and I think you guys probably saw that consistently last year, the second half of the year, and I think that's where he's going to get to.
Coming into this year, Brady Singer was almost viewed as okay, so they got Brady Singer, but can they get anything else? All right, it's not going to be Jordan Lyles and Zach Greinke. Those are nice, placeholders. They're going to be here for a little. Greinke 1 year, maybe signs another 1 year deal. I don't know. Jordan Lyles 2 years, maybe a year and a half if he keeps playing like this and they DFA him. But you can sign him to a 2-year deal. But other than that, you've got Brady Singer and you've got Daniel Lynch and you've got maybe Chris Bubich at the beginning of the season, looking at what you got Brady Singer, but then do you have Daniel Lynch? Do you have Chris Bubich? Do you have anybody else? Brad Keller has these new pitches, and things are going to be different for Brad Keller. But Brady Singer was viewed as this is what he did last year. This is going to just then build upon what he did a year ago. And it has been very disappointing and concerning the way that he was pitching this year, because as Matt Quatraro said last year, like when they brought up Brady Singer after going down to the minors, he was brilliant for a good part of the season. Even if you throw in a couple of really rough outings where he had 7 earned runs, his final outing of the season he gave up 6 earned runs. Even with those included, he ended up with a 3.1 ERA. A 10-5 record. I know records don't really matter, but 10-5 record, meaning he's getting the win, but also the Royals are winning when he's out there. Okay, it's not just like, he didn't get the win, but the Royals. No, a lot of times the Royals pitchers are going out there and the team isn't winning when they're on the mound. When the record is records don't matter. Your guy won 20 games, who cares? Yeah, but the team also won 20 games when he was on the mound, so there is something to be said for that. But even with all of that going on, when he had a couple of really rough outings, he still ended up with a 3 ERA. You take away some of those bad outings, and it's even better. If you only count in the really awesome things that he did, he was really successful last year. If you have no negatives, and this year it's been really discouraging watching him pitch, because that was something that you kind of counted on and saying, let's see what these other guys can do. But Brady Singer has turned the corner, and then he didn't. And these last 2 outings, maybe it's starting to turn the corner again.
So just to put in perspective how bad Singer has been this year, again, I'm a Singer supporter. I think he's going to be a guy who is in the Royals rotation for a while. He's not going to be a 1. Okay? Yeah. He's not Clayton Kershaw. He's not even close to those guys. But can he be a legitimate 2, a legitimate 3? That's the hope for Singer. I'm going to give you 2 guys. You tell me which one's Brady and which one's someone else. Okay. 70 hits given up, 23 walks, 56 strikeouts, 60 innings pitched, and a ERA of 6.145 or 6.45, WHIP of 1.55.
I know that's Brady Singer because I was looking at his numbers this morning, so I do know that he's got the 23 walks and the 56 strikeouts.
Okay, this next guy, 66 innings pitched, 64 hits given up, so 6 less hits, 24 walks, only 1 more walk. 53 strikeouts, so comparable strikeouts. The WHIP is 1.32, so actually lower than Brady, and an ERA of 6.89.
Is that a Royals pitcher?
It is.
Jordan Lyles?
Correct.
Okay.
You know how bad Jordan Lyles has been this year, right?
DFA Jordan Lyles. Jordan Lyles sucks. Brady Singer's going to the mound. Let's watch him pitch.
That's my point. That's how bad, though, Singer has been this year. Even with that incredible start he just had, the underlying numbers have been so similar from Lyles to Singer. The difference is Lyles has given up 17 home runs. Singer's given up 8.
Yeah, Jordan Lyles leads the majors in home runs given up.
He's just throwing meatballs. But that's been basically the only difference between those 2 dudes. Same game started, 12 games started. Lyles has 6 more innings pitched, which, again, he was brought in to do that, just to be an innings eater.
I mean, you were brought in to do that, but that innings eater, throws 5 innings the other day. But I've changed it. I've talked about it. My description of innings eater is changed. He's not actually there to eat innings. He's there to eat starts every 5 days. He's going to go to the mound every 5 days and start. May only give you 5. He's not going to, quote-unquote, eat innings. He's eating starts in the season. That's what he's doing. Because he sure as heck ain't eating innings right now unless he's on a diet.
But this is what I thought was fascinating. Everyone keeps talking about how bad Jordan Lyles has been, and he has been. I mean, this is not me saying Jordan Lyles is a good pitcher. He is not.
You're saying Jordan Lyles is better than Brady Singer. I hear it.
But that's how bad Brady Singer's start to the year has been. These last 2 outings have been very, very encouraging, but we need to see more. This needs to be more of the norm and not the outlier. Again, last year, second half of the year, Singer was outstanding. Hell, my dumbass drafted him in fantasy baseball this year. Back end, okay?
You're so stupid.
Back into the draft. But I thought Singer had legitimately turned a corner. And what makes me a little nervous is how many times have we seen Royals players, or just Major League Baseball players in general, have half a year that's great, a full year that's great, but that's it. I want to make sure that half year of Singer, that wasn't the outlier to his career, and this is the norm.
Yeah, I mean, he's had back-to-back starts where they've been pretty good. So last 2 starts, very small sample size. Josh, if you're listening, take a drink. It's less than 11 innings pitched in those 2 starts. So he ain't going like 7 innings, 8 innings. It's 10 2/3. So, 5 1/3 each time is averaging out. But he's only given up 2 earned runs. And he's got the 13 strikeouts in those 10 2/3 and only 3 walks. That had been an issue for him throughout this season so far, is the lack of command. But last 2 games, 1.7 ERA, a whip right at 1. And so is that starting to turn the corner a little bit? I say that, and I'll also throw in the April 25th start that he had, in which he went 6 innings, gave up 1 earned run, no walks, 5 Ks, and it was like, all right, there's Brady Singer. And then he started sucking again. And then these last 2. So if he didn't have that start on April 25th, in a weird way, I'd be more encouraged by these 2 starts than that start on April 25th when it was sandwiched between some rough outings for Brady Singer, that for that one day he had figured it out. These last 2 starts, though, he's stacked them, then maybe there's something more there that he's starting to turn the corner here.
For you, when does he need to figure it out before we say this is who he is? He's almost 27.
If
he's almost 20, he's not. I love how we act like he's this young prospect.
I know, right?
He's
Yeah.
almost 20. He was drafted because he was a college pitcher, gonna go through the minors quickly, which he did because there was no pitchers. I always love that when the Royals like we had 5 guys from this draft class pitch. Well, yeah, because no one else are these guys getting starts for it. They're not starting on the Dodgers, and well, maybe with the injuries, but they're not starting on Cleveland or Tampa Bay. You can only say that because you promoted them.
That's right.
There's no it irritates me. But Brady Singer's almost 27. At some point he has to put it together because he's no longer this young prospect. He should now be in the midst, like Shane McClanahan, right?
Yeah, that'd be great.
I mean, again, you can go on the list. I mean, Logan Gilbert's been off and on. Casey Mize may never have figured it out because he's been perpetually injured. But at some point, he's not a prospect anymore. This is a veteran.
Yeah.
Almost 27.
I would say the rest of the way here, that if he can start to gain some consistency, finish the rest of the way at, 3.5 ERA, like I said, last year when, he got brought back, which was almost a full season of ball. He has a couple of really bad outings mixed in with a lot of really good consistent outings, and he's got a 3.1 ERA over the course of the season. And that ERA was even better before his last outing when he gave up 6 earned runs at the final start of the season for him. The rest of the way this year, there's going to be a lot more focus on Brady Singer because he did or does have these previous 2 outings. And what we saw a year ago, and there was he's turned the corner. Now he's taken a step back, and it's even more discouraging than feeling like you at least had somebody in your rotation figured out that if you're saying, if the Royals win a division, how many guys are on this team that can be a part of a division-winning team? Not when the Royals go to the playoffs next, here's who's on the team. Well, you can make a case that nobody. Next time they go to the playoffs, nobody on the team right now will be on this team. It's that far away from them making the playoffs. But that's less of a conversation than I want to have than who on this team could be legitimately part of a team that can win a division. Can Brady Singer play on a division-winning team in a rotation? The way that he did the first 9 starts, or 10 starts, because this was 12 starts now for him. So the way that he did the first 10 starts, no, he wouldn't be on a team that was winning a division. He wouldn't be nearly good enough. These last 2 starts, yeah. This is a guy, and the way that he did last year for most of the season when he came back up to be a starter. Yeah, that's a guy who can pitch on a division-winning team. Is he a true number 2? Is he a true number 3? He's not a number 1. We talked about that, but is he a representative? Hey, this is the ace of the staff. Yeah, because your team sucks. Because your pitching staff sucks. So this is an ace. Well, this is our number 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Right, but when you start off with your number 1 sucking, your number 2 is going to be behind it, 3, 4, and 5, all of that stuff. Well, if you have a couple of number 2s, and it's like, okay, no, this guy is a legit number 2. Or you've got a legit number 1. Somebody develops into, all right, this guy is now an ace. These pitchers that they have drafted throughout the years, somebody has turned into an ace. And then you got a couple of number 3s behind him, Daniel Lynch and Brady Singer. Daniel Lynch grows into it, and Brady Singer, it's like these guys are legit number 3s. So you do have a 1 through 3 in your rotation. You got a true number 1, and then you got a couple of legit number 3s. Those are your 1, 2, 3. All right, you can win with that. That dog will hunt. I think Brady Singer can be that. But again, the first 10 starts were super discouraging from what we've seen from him this year. These last 2 are encouraging, but I bring up that start on April 25th that was against the Diamondbacks when he was really good. These last 2 starts are against the Nationals and the Rockies. He was good. Those teams that he played these last 2 have sucked. Their offenses have not been good. Again, Jordan Lyles went 5 innings, gave up only 1 run, only 3 base runners that he had in the game. And the complaint about the innings eater, which is an absolute legit complaint, even if I change the definition of innings eater to start eater, you still have a guy who you brought in to take the mound every 5 days to make sure you can help out your bullpen from time to time, that in that game he goes 5 innings, gives up a total of 3 base runners, strikes out 8, 1 run, and is at 74 pitches, and you take him out of the game. In a game in which you end up giving up 6 more runs. Like, what is it that you say you do here, Jordan? That probably was not his decision. So what is it, would you say, that he does here, Matt Quatraro? What is his job? Because you finally get a really good outing out of Jordan Lyles. And it's like, this guy can now, he might be able to pitch 7 innings. So now you can go Chapman Barlow. Boom. You got Lyles for 7, Chapman Barlow, Big Slick. Let's get out of here with a win on a Friday night. No. For some reason, Lyles goes 5 innings and comes out of the game. 74 pitches. And eventually when you go to the bullpen and go to the bullpen and go to the bullpen a number of times, somebody's not going to have it. And, they give up 6 runs in the 8th inning against the Rockies. And, you've got a guy there that's what he's on the team to do. Brady Singer, I think, can be a part of that. What's Daniel Lynch? We'll find out what he ends up being. But the last 2 starts from Singer at least help you feel better about, can he start to turn the corner? Because we didn't see that in back-to-back starts at any point this season until these last 2.
Overall, how do you think Quatraro's done so far? Because some of the things he has implemented has me enthused. He has been more analytical. You've seen Nick Pratto leading off. Nick Pratto, again, not a traditional leadoff hitter, dropping Bobby Witt Jr. down, even if it was only for a few games and only to, the 6th spot for 1 game and then the 4th and then
they
second. And
6-5-4. Like you're going to be batting 6th, but don't worry. But 2 games later, you're going to be at least cleaning up.
I know it's probably not his decision to DFA Hunter Dozier, but he stopped playing Hunter Dozier.
That's true.
He stopped playing Jackie Bradley Jr. when he had the option of either Kyle Isbell or Drew Waters coming back. He has tried to go to the younger guys. Michael Massey consistently at second base, which I'll hopefully get into more with you.
Yeah, we will. Yep.
Using MJ Melendez now and say, hey, you're now an outfielder. You're not a catcher. Freddie Fermin, you're now the backup to Salvi. Yeah. MJ Melendez, you're no longer catching. You're not Dalton Varsho for a couple years in Arizona. You're not that talented defensively at both spots. Focus on one. So what's he doing? Focusing on outfield. I think there's some takeaways from what he's done so far that have me enthused. I know you mentioned Jordan Lyles. I think it's a tough situation. If he goes out and gets shelled, which, frankly, all signs his entire year has been Jordan Lyles getting shelled.
Maybe that's what Quatraro was saying. Let's get him out of here before he falls apart.
Same thing with Mike Myers, right? Mike Myers, that game of, or Mayers, that game when he had the quote-unquote
against the Cardinals,
no-hitter going on.
Perfect
game going on.
Yeah.
It's not a real perfect game. He's brought in to be analytical.
Yeah.
The third time through the lineup, what do? You're not supposed to see that guy.
Well,
That's why you have a starter in front of him.
Yeah.
So
An opener,
if you will. Yeah. But for the most part, I think Coutreau's actually done a fine job. He just has no tools in his tool bag.
Yeah, and that'll be tonight too against Miami. It'll be Carlos Hernandez opening, followed by Mike Myers coming in after him to see if they can repeat what they did against the Cardinals, last week. But I've been fine with some of the moves that he's made. The biggest thing for me is him playing the younger guys. When they brought up Garcia, my question was, are we going to see Dozier starting at third base and Garcia spelling different guys? Or is Garcia now the third baseman and Dozier will come in from time to time? And even before they DFA'd Hunter Dozier, Garcia was starting every day. That's what I wanted to see. They brought up Drew Waters. Drew Waters is now in center field. Jackie Bradley Jr. is spelling some different guys are coming in as a defensive replacement late in the game when you've got a lead. Perfectly fine with that. One of the things that bothered me about Mike Matheny was that you bring up a younger guy, but yet the older guys are still going to play. And it's like, well, why'd you bring this guy up here if you're not going to play him? Cotrero has done that. And maybe that's the edict from J.J. Piccolo of this guy's coming up. He's playing, Matt. Okay, so just so you know, this is the deal. I don't know, some of the decisions with the pitching, that stuff I think can ultimately get worked out. He's still learning as well. All of this stuff in evaluation season, he's learning how to be a manager too. I'm not going to hold his feet to the fire. I'm not going to make a judgment that this is the manager he is based on 60 games of managing. Not yet. But at the end of the season, going into next year, when you want to feel like you're getting closer, and we'll see, closer being a relative term, then we'll start to get into the real criticism of what Matt Cotrero is doing. To me, it's the playing of the younger guys and how he uses those guys and his willingness to move Bobby Witt out of the leadoff spot and his willingness to put in a Nick Pratto in the leadoff spot and the fact that, Michael Massey needs to keep playing every day.
Before I get to Massey, it is tough for him when your best pitcher is a 39-year-old.
Well, yeah.
The dude with the most wins above replacement, at least according to ESPN. I don't know if they use B-WAR, F-WAR, what ESPN, if they have their own ESPN WAR. But it's Zach Greinke by a fairly wide margin has been the most effective pitcher for the Royals.
Yep.
Not a good sign.
Yep. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll talk some NFL football with Matt Verderam from Sports Illustrated. A little update on the Women's College World Series. Todd Lebo, I don't know, maybe he's nervous right now. Stanford, a 2-run shot in the first inning over Oklahoma. So they go in the first inning 2-0 Stanford over the juggernaut Oklahoma. I'm going to go ahead and take Oklahoma winning 8-2 in this one. We'll take a timeout. We'll talk with Matt Verderam next.
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com, in the 810 mobile app, or by subscribing to The Zone wherever you get your podcasts.
Summer is here, and when you're looking for tickets to your favorite events, look no further than Tickets for Less. Whether you need tickets to see the Royals, Sporting, or the Current, or you want to plan ahead with seats to see Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, TicketsForLess.com is your go-to source for great tickets at the best price. At Tickets for Less, you get fully transparent pricing without added fees at checkout. That means you know exactly what you'll pay, and you won't get a bad surprise on the checkout page. Plus, save a little extra when you use promo code 810 to check out today. Simply enter code 810 at TicketsForLess.com and save.
When you need a battery, it's Wholesale Batteries. Since 1977, Wholesale Batteries is one of the...
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, heading up until 2 o'clock. We'll talk with Mick Schaefer hanging out in the 1 o'clock hour. Learn funniest best with Mick. Right now, let's talk some NFL football. A lot of basketball and baseball so far in the show, but let's talk some NFL football, some Chiefs with Matt Verderam from Sports Illustrated joining us here in the zone. Matt, what's up, man? How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing just fine. Appreciate you joining us. Before we get into some Chiefs discussion and things like that, wanted your thoughts on the passing of Norma Hunt and maybe the legacy of the Chiefs matriarch and maybe the first lady of football. What do you think of with Norma Hunt and maybe the legacy she left behind?
I mean, I think one of the most impactful people in American sports. You know, I mean, look, realistically, you know, Lamar Hunt gets credit for the creation of the American Football League, and of course, 10 years after that, the leagues merged. But you know, Norma Hunt was somebody who, you know, was a driving force alongside Lamar. You know, not only supportive, but helped him in terms of innovation, things of that nature. Obviously, has been extremely involved with the Chiefs all the way through her life. You know, was very vocal about how much it meant when they won the Lamar Hunt Trophy after 50 years of waiting back in 2019. They do it again this year. I think when you look back at her legacy, you know, she's one of the most impactful people in football, regardless of gender. I mean, she really was a huge part of the growth of the game alongside Lamar, and I think from a football standpoint, that's her legacy.
Yeah, visiting with Matt Verderam, it's pretty cool, and also the didn't get to mention this in the show yet, but the Norma Hunt training camp for the fellowship program, and two of the women that were a part of that, Ashley Smith and Madison Aponte. Ashley Smith is now the NFL manager of player engagement at the league office. And Madison is part of the Chiefs player personnel staff. And they went through the Norma Hunt training camp, fellowship, internship program to get females more involved in the player personnel side of it, the scouting part of it. And there are two alumni from that are working, one with the league office and one actually in player personnel with the Chiefs. So also part of the legacy for Norma Hunt.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think, you know, a lot of times we you know, when we talk about these things, it turns into she was one of the most impactful women. I don't even really think it's that. And I genuinely feel like she was so important and instrumental in, you know, bringing along the American Football League and helping Lamar find his creativity. And then really being involved, again, really up until his death. I mean, so you couldn't find too many people who have been involved in professional football for longer or had more of an impact.
Visiting with Matt Verderam from Sports Illustrated. We haven't had you on since the kickoff rule was changed with the ability to call a fair catch from, inside the 25-yard line. Do you like the rule, dislike the rule, and how much do you think it will impact the game or be that different from what we're seeing already?
I don't love it. You know, I think you're taking away a lot of the game, and I understand player safety. I get that. And you want that. Nobody's arguing that point, but if you listen to a lot of the players and a lot of the coaches, they don't feel like it's really upgrading player safety. They don't, you know, I think, you know, my colleague over at SI, Albert Breer, reported that essentially special teams coaches were vehemently opposed to it. And, yeah, sure, you can say, well, they're special teams coaches. Of course they're going to be opposed. But a lot of the players, I mean, you know, the Kelseys, when they talked about it on their podcast, for example, weren't thrilled with it. I get where the league's coming from, but I think what it's going to do, if you're a special teams coach and you believe in your kicker, I'd have them just squib kick the ball and make somebody field this thing where they can't fair catch it. I mean, I think if you're Harrison Butker and you're trying to pin a team, do you not just kick the ball down the field and try to drill it on the ground and force some guy to field it who's an up back at the 12-yard line? I mean, maybe teams will say that's too risky, but I think you're going to get a handful of teams who just say, you know what, let's try that out early. Maybe cause a fumble, maybe cause some bad field position. You know, I think it might create some opportunity in other ways for teams to try to take advantage.
Yeah, Matt Verderam is our guest. That to me is sort of the interesting part of, you know, how the Chiefs will go about using the strategy, or as Dave Toub lamented, maybe losing that, is he talked about that late game strategy where if they're trailing, you can kick it high inside the 5-yard line, force a team to return it. Therefore, there's a chance for a turnover, a chance for a penalty, but you force them maybe with some tougher field position, then now they can just call for a fair catch, which I understand that strategy. What I don't understand is him saying this could be used to our advantage, and this is something that is now taken away because it can be detrimental to the receiving team, and then say, well, we're going to be aggressive. We're still going to be returning it. Even if they kick it high down to the 5 or 10-yard line, we're going to be returning it every time because we are aggressive. I'm not sure how to square that circle with Dave Toub of, you just said that it works against the receiving team, but you also said, I don't care. We're still going to do this.
Well, if you're a Chiefs fan and you've been a Chiefs fan for the last 10 years, one thing you know about Dave Toub, they're going to run it out.
Yeah.
Like, that's what they're doing. They have done that. How many times in the last handful of years has a Chiefs return man caught the ball 8 yards deep in the end zone and run the ball out?
Too many times.
I mean, they do it constantly. They don't care, right? I mean, it happens all the time. And the Chiefs start at the 12-yard line because they just don't believe in starting at the 25-yard line. So I do think that with Toub, based on his history, he's going to tell these returners, if you have any sliver of daylight, believe in your blocking, believe in yourself, go. And look, there's the occasion it's going to work. There's a lot of occasions it won't. But I think you're going to still have some special teams coaches. I think especially the best ones who are going to say, I don't care. We're not going to give into the league. We're going to run the ball out. Now, maybe detrimental to the teams. But I think in the end, you're still going to see a lot of these, especially you got to factor into it. It depends who the returner is. Like, if the guy, like for an example, if it's Isaiah Pacheco on the Chiefs, maybe he says, you know what, I'm good taking a fair catch because I don't need one more hit and I already have a starting job. But if it's some guy who, like, that's his only time on the field, he's not taking a knee. Like, he's running the ball out. And so I think you're going to still see a lot of returns.
Yeah, the Chiefs last year, I went back and charted all the kickoff returns for the Chiefs because I'm a dork. So they caught the ball inside the 25-yard line, not in the end zone, 25 times, so which would be a part of this new rule that you can call a fair catch. Right. So of those 25 times they had returns, 18 of them resulted in their drive starting inside the 25-yard line. Only 7 times that they returned that did they start with better field position than they would if they just simply called for a fair catch. Those aren't the numbers that you would look at and go, Dave, be aggressive. I mean, you that's not even starting with, that's not even getting the ball in the end zone, Matt. That's not even starting from the end zone and then having to have, at least a 26, a 27-yard return to get to the 25. That's sometimes you received it at the 3, sometimes you got it at the 5. There was one where Pacheco caught it at the 6, and then 2 steps later he ran out of bounds because for some reason he decided to do that.
I remember.
I mean, so only 7 times out of 25 that they actually start their possession with better field position than they would have if they just called for a fair catch. That's just going just a pretty extreme degree against what the analytics would say of this isn't successful. You're not giving your team a better chance of winning by returning this.
Jason, that is great research. And all that said, they're still going to run the ball out.
That's exactly right.
That's exactly they are. They don't care. It doesn't matter. They're going to look at this and say, we're going to find a way. We're going to pop one.
That's absolutely.
You look at the Chiefs are funny in the sense, you look at one of the biggest returns in France's history was in the Super Bowl last year with Tony, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And if you look at that play, it's a bad punt. It's low and it's short, and there's a million guys on Philadelphia right there because of how low it was and how short it was. Kadarius Toney probably shouldn't have fielded that ball. Like, he took it off his shoe tops, and if he fumbles that, it's a disaster. But they're aggressive. And he, to his credit, made a great catch and then made a great run. And 60 yards later, he's at the 5-yard line. But, that's who they are. There are plenty of teams who would have been yelling, get away from it, get away from it. The Chiefs are like, no, that's fine. We're going to field this and then make 7 guys miss because that's what we do. And you can't argue with the results. I mean, they've been incredible, and their aggressiveness helps them. But I guarantee you that, A, Dave Toub is very aware of the statistic you just said, and B, could not care any less, and they're just going to continue to do it.
You're not wrong. My favorite of the stats that I saw was, so If you start at the 26-yard line, I'm giving that plus 1 yard. If you start at the 24, that would be -1. So over the course of the season and all their returns, they ended up with negative 88 yards. So they were 88 yards worse than if they would have just simply called for a fair catch every time in the end zone. But also, that's with the new rule, so if they would have called for a fair catch if they had that new rule. My favorite stat is they had 702 return yards for negative 88. So they returned 702 yards to be 88 yards worse than if they just called for a fair catch every time.
Yep. And a
lot of work
will
for
look at
nothing.
that and say, we will keep rolling.
Yes.
And you know what? If we're negative 88, that's fine because Mahomes will make that up in about 7 plays.
Which is interesting. That's an interesting point, Matt, from that standpoint. You know, my view has always been I don't want to be as aggressive. I've said the best returner for the best punt returner for the Chiefs is no punt returner, and just let the ball hit the ground and roll, and then somebody touches it dead, and boom, you move on. But that also would take away Kadarius Toney's huge punt return in the Super Bowl, and you can argue, well, they might have scored then too, but they also could have had a fumble. They also could have had a penalty. Could have been a turnover. Right. So that was a huge play by Kadarius Toney. So I am someone that is way more conservative when it comes to the kicking game, and my view being, I've got Patrick Mahomes. I don't want to risk a turnover there. I've also heard the other side, which is, yeah, but you have Patrick Mahomes. He can overcome that. Whereas if you get a big kickoff return or a punt return, boom, you can really break the back of the other team. Where do you fall on that sort of strategy one way or another because you have Patrick Mahomes? Is it be more conservative because you don't want to take your first responsibility as special teams is the special teams Hippocratic oath, at first do no harm, to Patrick Mahomes, or he can overcome it, so let's take some risks?
I'm with you. I'm a big proponent of don't screw it up. Just give him the ball. There was a stat, and this is a couple of years ago, so God knows this has obviously changed. But there was a stat where I think it was the year they won their first Super Bowl with Mahomes, that when they started their drives inside their own 10-yard line, they scored 50% of the time they scored touchdowns. Just give him the ball.
Yeah.
I don't care if he's on the 1. Just give it. Apparently, even if Chad Henne's on the 1, just give it to him.
That's right.
It doesn't. I'm a big believer in if you're the Chiefs and you don't lose the turnover battle, how often are you losing? I mean,
great question. Yeah.
Twice a year, once a year. I mean, I'd love to go back, and somebody I'm sure has answered this. In Patrick Mahomes' career, when they're even or better in the turnover ratio, what is their record? It's got to be some staggering number. It's got to be something like he's lost once in his career or twice in his career. So if I'm the Chiefs, I'm looking at that going, just don't screw up.
Yeah.
I mean, I always think back to that Colts game last year where the Chiefs just couldn't stop making mistakes all over the field. And you're like, if you just did nothing on special teams, you didn't put players out there, you would have been better off.
Yep.
But you know what? At the same point, there's the argument to be made, hey, look, they may not win the AFC title game. It's not for Sky Moore, of all people, his big return at the end of the game. They may not win the game in the Super Bowl if Tony doesn't have it. So it cuts both ways. I think the one thing I would give the Chiefs credit for, they're consistent. They don't waffle. They don't change all the they are who they are. They believe in who they are, and they play that way.
Visiting with Matt Verderame, Sports Illustrated. Leonard Floyd signs with the Buffalo Bills. Interesting, within, 10 hours of Ed Oliver's extension. Then Leonard Floyd signs with the Bills. One leads to the other, just as around Kansas City. We're saying, is Chris Jones going to sign an extension? And therefore, can somebody else be signed, whether that being Hopkins or somebody else on the defense? What do you think of the Leonard Floyd signing for the Buffalo Bills? A little more insurance for Von Miller.
I think it was smart. And I did a Spaces over the weekend on Twitter where I basically broke down, and I've got an article coming out of SI for this, but if you look at the Bills situation cap-wise, and I'm not talking about whether or not they're over the cap, it's just like how they're using their cap space. If you look at it, they have serious problems on the horizon if they don't start to draft better. I mean, they are spending so much money on guys 29 and older, and a lot of those contracts still have years to go before they could move on from them. A lot of them have void years at the end. I like the fact that with Floyd, look, it's 1 year. He's here and then he's not, and they can move on. He's been productive. He's had 9 sacks or more each of the last 3 seasons. Do I think he's a game changer? No. But is he a quality player? Yeah, he's a good player. Now, my question with the Bills is going to be, okay, so does he come in and replace a lot of Gregory Rousseau's snaps? Because then I don't love it as much. Like, Rousseau's a pretty good young player, and the Bills are low on good young players. Like, the Bills need to develop Gregory Rousseau. So when Miller's healthy, is that just like you're keeping Miller fresh, or is that we're going to put Rousseau on the bench and he's going to play 30% of the snaps? Because if it's the former, I'm a big fan of the move. If it's the latter, I don't love it as much.
Yeah, the salary cap the next couple of years is going to be pretty fascinating with some of the teams in contention with the Kansas City Chiefs, like the Chargers that are $73 million over the cap next year already. And
that's one of the all-timers. That situation. I mean, if you look at their cap situation next year, it's insane. You have 4 guys making like $32+ million.
They're already $74 million over the cap next year. The Bills are $30 million over the cap next year. So yeah, I mean it's something they're gonna run into. The Chiefs. See, next year and the year after that is when the Chiefs are really gonna feel the effects of not having the Tyreek Hill salary cap. It's like you get cap relief. Well, last year really wasn't the cap relief because you look at it. If the Chiefs signed him, they weren't going to have a huge cap hit last year for Tyreek Hill. Correct. It was going to be this year you start to feel it, and then boom, next year is going to be $30 million against the cap, $31 million, $32 million. That's when you're going to feel that relief with the Chiefs is next year and even on into 2025. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. So I do love that the Cleveland Browns are already $14 million over the cap in 2025.
That's good. Well, at least they have a championship roster in place already.
Thank God.
Yeah, I mean, I have to. They're one of my training camp visits this year, and I've thought about, like, I don't know what to even, like, where do you go with this, other than the fact that, you know, they have this team that this quarterback doesn't bounce back in a massive way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you want to talk about a house cleaning? They're going to demolish the house.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I don't even. But the problem with them is, like, what do you do? I mean, whoever you bring in there, you're stuck. You know, I think that is the one thing I give Brett Veach a lot of credit. And look, New England did this for 20 years. In the moment, you know, if you're a Chiefs fan, you're like, you're moving on from Tyreek Hill, you're moving on from Tyrann Mathieu. But like, they believe in their drafts. They believe in their ability to develop players. They don't overpay guys, and that's the one thing with all the stuff with DeAndre Hopkins. And you see nationally this whole idea of like, well, the Chiefs and the Bills, and I think it's pretty clear the Bills are not in on him at this point. But the Chiefs are going to have a price with DeAndre Hopkins, and that's their price, and that's it. Like they're not going to negotiate way up off of their number. I mean, they may give him $500 million or something. But they wouldn't move for Tyreek Hill. They're not moving for DeAndre Hopkins. Like they're going to sit there and say, "This is our number." And if you want to play here and you want a shot to win a ring and you want to have 1,400 yards next year, this is the number. And I think that's probably why he ends up going somewhere else, unless the Chiefs open up a bunch of space and the number changes. But as it stands, the Chiefs are going to sit at their number, and they're not going to care. And it served them well.
Matt Verderame is our guest from Sports Illustrated. Matt, I appreciate the time, even though, you know, Sterling Holmes is hanging out with me today, even though he lobbied for you not to be on the show. I thought that was odd. But I do appreciate you still joining us, even though he was like, no, don't have Matt. It's terrible. He's awful. I hate him, in fact. I would never even visit him, nor would I ever stay at his house. That's what he said. It was weird.
Verbatim.
Yeah, it was very odd.
To be fair, I don't blame him. I probably would have said all the same things.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us, even though Sterling is with us. So, you know, there you go. Matt,
no problem. Happy to do it.
You're the man, Matt. Appreciate it, brother. There's Matt Verderame joining us, Sports Illustrated. You guys hosted a podcast or something together? It's weird.
We made a beer together too.
You made a beer together?
Yeah.
Like brewed it together?
Yes,
like
correct.
We had
hops. The hops. I heard they recently added more hops
to it.
Yeah, see, unlike Briscoe, I get that reference.
There you
go.
go.
Casey Beer Co., Arrow Red Lager. We made a beer at Casey Beer Co. Me and Verderame, Matt Connor, and Patrick Allen, yeah.
How about that? That's awesome.
Pretty cool.
Probably won't try it, but I'm going to take your word.
Sold out. It's okay.
Okay,
you
so
can't
I can't
try it.
Well, I don't drink, so it's fine, you know. But I'm going to take your word that I bet it's amazing.
Oh, I thought you were taking a shot at me, saying you weren't going to try it because you just don't drink.
I wouldn't even take a shot of it.
Now I feel bad.
I'm not even going to take a shot of it.
Now I feel bad.
My wife shotgunned a beer on Saturday for some reason.
Was that when you were building the deck?
Yeah.
She didn't trust you. She's like, I got to get the edge off. I don't trust Jason to.
I don't know if she wants this. I don't know if she wants to be saying that. It was an accident because she had got some beers for her dad. He's in town, and one of them popped a hole in the side. So she went and just finished it. She was like, because we have new neighbors moving in next door. She's like, if you see me shotgunning a beer at 11:30, don't think anything of it. Like, sorry. She's like, I think that's one, maybe the first time and the earliest, I think, even if I've ever done it. Like, there wasn't ever like it was like a tailgate at WKU that you guys, shotgunned a beer at like 9, 10 in the morning. She's like, we had sorority tailgates and that would be frowned upon. So no, we are classy. We would not be doing that at our tailgates. I'm like, all right, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, my fraternity, too. We would never do we were classy at Mizzou. We never once did that.
No, not at all.
No.
Nope, never. So, yeah. So that happened over the weekend, too. So that's good, as long as everybody knows about that. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. More Zone right after this.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 8.
Thank you to Matt Verderam joining us from Sports Illustrated. We'll talk some more NFL football. You know, Travis Kelce says they could be a Golden State dynasty. Mainly because he was asked, can you be a dynasty like Golden State? Well, just like, what's he going to say? No, it was a good run, but we're done. But I do want to hear some of the things that he talked about in that. We may hear from Brady Singer on his outing and dealing with the rain delay, which at one point was a big issue for him when he was at Florida, when he was screaming at the umpire about the rain delay. Like, he was such a red ass, he was literally man screaming at clouds. That's how mad Brady Singer was when he went to the mound, and sometimes his body language backed that up, and sometimes he would have blow-up innings because he couldn't contain what was going on maybe between the ears, from the, chest bone to the backbone or whatever. Was it Spags that says that, or whoever talks about it, chest bone to the backbone that you care about?
That was one of the stranger rain delays I've ever seen, because the weather system was moving
Yesterday?
was moving east to west.
Yes.
I was at the stadium. It was coming the wrong way.
Yeah.
And I swear it took them longer to get the tarp out and put it away than the tarp was on the field. It was so quick. I mean, and it just poured out there for like 6 minutes.
Yeah, the same thing over our house, because it was such a small cluster, but the raindrops were huge.
Yes.
I mean, it was amazing. Like, sometimes you see this huge rain cloud and the raindrops are small, right? Those smaller rain clouds that come through, those raindrops are massive. I don't know why. Maybe Lezak or somebody else that knows weather would be able to explain it more as to why the smaller clouds and the quicker cells have the biggest raindrops.
I saw it sprinkling a little bit. I saw it on the awning right beneath the press box, and so I got up my radar app and I looked, and I'm like, oh, there's nothing coming. And then I zoomed out a little bit, and it was coming from the wrong way. I'm like, what is this?
East to west. Yeah, it was very weird. We're out there working on the deck, and all of a sudden we had to just put all the tools underneath the table, run inside, and 5 minutes later, we go back outside and work.
Couch
Just
was
a quick
dry.
shower.
Couch was dry. I was watching the Memorial Golf Tournament. I go, I'll switch that one over.
Was it dry? Was it you hanging out watching a little Victor Hovland?
Oh, yeah, it was nice.
You and Mick Schaefer?
Yeah, just hanging out.
Like, Mick will feel good about his Oklahoma State Cowboy winning.
Now I don't want him to win.
Yeah, now you root against Victor
now I
from
root
on.
against him, yeah.
Number 5 in the world. By the way, it's 2-2 Oklahoma and Stanford in the bottom of the third with the College World Series. Women's College World Series. Stanford with a quick 2-0 lead in the first, but Oklahoma got 2 back. So it's 2-2. Stanford trying to pull off what would be a massive upset as the number 9 seed. Oklahoma shocking the number 1 seed. Weird. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll talk a little more football, get into some baseball as well. Mick Schaefer, 1 o'clock. More Zone next.
Paid for client portrayal and endorsement. The choice of a lawyer is an important.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Again, thank you to Matt Verderam in the first hour, or excuse me, in the previous hour. Talking some Chiefs football, talking some kickoff rules, and also talking Norma Hunt. The news came down late last night, or late yesterday afternoon into the early evening, that Norma Hunt had passed away, and the statements by so many different clubs, not just NFL, but MLS, just so many different clubs offering their condolences to the Hunt family for the passing of Norma Hunt, who did mean a great deal to the city. And, you know, we talk about Lamar Hunt, we talk about the Hunt family, and Norma's been there essentially every step of the way for this Chiefs franchise, and the only woman to attend every single Super Bowl. And thankfully, the last Super Bowl she attended was won by the Kansas City Chiefs. She also was the first person to kiss the actual Lamar Hunt trophy given to the Chiefs when they beat the Tennessee Titans. While I wanted Jim Nantz to hand the trophy to Norma, he handed the trophy to Clark, who immediately grabbed the trophy and then gave it over to his mom, Norma Hunt, who kissed the trophy. So the first ever actual Lamar Hunt trophy that the Chiefs won, first person to kiss that was Norma Hunt, and influences not only with the NFL, but with Major League Soccer, with tennis, Worlds of Fun, with so many different things that the Hunt family has been about, and Norma Hunt's been there every step of the way. And I mentioned with Matt Verderam the fellowship program that she did a couple of years ago for females in sports, having them get more involved in the NFL, and not just in the actual scouting department, in training camp, in drafting and combines and pro days, and going through all of those. And two of the alumni from that, Ashley Smith, is now working with the league office and NFL manager of player engagement. And Madison Aponte is working with the Chiefs as an assistant in player personnel. So those are two women who had doors in the NFL opened up to them because of an initiative by Norma Hunt to get more females involved. And it's not just getting more females involved, because when they announced it, the shocking reactions from some of, well, why don't you just hire the most qualified people? Just right. But opportunities need to be there. These particular ladies would not have had the opportunity to even interview for said job. They might have been the most qualified, but nobody would have known who they were if they were just working in the college ranks. Are they then going to get a job in the NFL? It's like, well, no, I was working as assistant athletic director for the tennis team at this college. Now I want to work in player personnel at the NFL level. Ooh, we're going to hire the most qualified. Well, now you go through this fellowship program. You pick up all of these different things. You learn. You now throw that into your background with all of the other things you've done in your resume and become more well-rounded, and you get an opportunity there. So they probably were the most qualified person, because they actually got a chance to interview and be viewed as on an equal footing with these others there. So she's opened up the door in that realm as well. So it's certainly a sad day when the matriarch and the person who has been there with Lamar every step of the way in the Hunt family. We lost Lamar in 2006 and Norma yesterday. So. Yeah.
Very cool, though, that she did get to experience all this. Has to be such a phenomenal... Seeing your legacy culminate in that has to be so fulfilling, because you always want to see your dreams come true, and she was able to see her dreams come true before she passed. That has to be such a phenomenal experience. So, very different, but I want to bring up, too, just, the Baseball Hall of Fame with Buck O'Neil. My biggest gripe is when they don't induct the players who are going to be inducted in their lifetime. But, for example, Norma was able to see her footprint and her legacy carried out in real time, and I think that has to be such a glorious experience.
So a couple of things to that. They finally won the Lamar Hunt Trophy. So they won 3 of those, in the 4 years, 2 Lombardi trophies, and Kansas City awarded a World Cup.
Yeah.
And with her and Lamar going to the World Cup in the 60s and sort of falling in love with soccer, and then the MLS and getting an MLS squad here in Kansas City. And because the Chiefs have been such a well-run and successful franchise for such a long time, and part of that because of the Hunts, or a big part of that because of the Hunts, in that you marry those, that part of the foolish club that eventually gets into the NFL for the NFL and football as we know it today, and the Chiefs with Arrowhead Stadium out there and the love of soccer and bringing soccer and investing so much into the MLS, and then Kansas City becoming this much of a lover of soccer, that those two things, now the World Cup. Without Lamar and Norma, we would not be talking about the World Cup in Kansas City coming in a few years. That would not be happening, which is also pretty cool. It's part of the legacy. So when the World Cup's here in Kansas City, we'll also remember the Hunt family for bringing the Dallas Texans to Kansas City and then investing in the MLS and Kansas City Wizards and on into Sporting, and the Chiefs staying around and being a well-run organization to not then leave the city or go somewhere else or what have you, that those two things sort of coming together. So it's a sad day, but also a celebration of what was a remarkable life for Norma Hunt. So 913-912-4810. She witnessed 2 Super Bowls and 3 Lamar Hunt trophies. Travis Kelce was on the Run It Back podcast last week, which is Michelle Beadle and Chandler Parsons, and I can't remember who the other 2 that are on that Run It Back podcast. But Travis Kelce was on the podcast, and he was on it for about 30 minutes, and they discussed a lot of different things, most of them not NFL related. His relationship with LeBron, being a Cavs fan, hanging out with Chandler Parsons, playing golf, a lot of different things they talked about. But they also asked, hey, speaking of the Golden State Warriors that you were just discussing and being a Cavs fan, is Kansas City a dynasty? Can they be a Warriors-type dynasty? So here's Travis Kelce weighing in on if he thinks this Chiefs team that he is on right now should be considered a dynasty.
I would say, yeah, the Kansas City has been a dynasty for quite a while now, and obviously I'm biased. I'm biased to that, but I think that what Coach Reed has done since he's been here in terms of winning, in terms of the playoff runs and all the division championships, and the AFC title appearances, then obviously the Super Bowls. We're 100% a dynasty, but when you put it up against what the Warriors have done, obviously we don't have as many championships right now. So we got some work to do. We're on an uphill battle, especially when you talk about what the Warriors have been able to do. Unfortunately, I've seen quite a few daggers from the Golden State Warriors, being a Cavs fan throughout my day. But yeah, Cavs in 7 anyways. But I think at the end of the day, Patty Mahomes finds a way to overtake, what is it? They got 4 championships?
Yep.
Yeah. So I think Pat Mahomes is definitely going to find a way to get more than 4 championships. Hopefully I'm still along for the ride by the time he gets there.
So along with Michelle Beadle, it's Sham Sharani and Eddie Gonzalez and Chandler Parsons are the 4 that host that show. The Warriors dynasty, can the Chiefs be that? The Warriors have 4 trophies in 8 years. They've been to 6 NBA finals. So 4-2 in those NBA finals over 8 years. Can the Kansas City Chiefs, over the next 4 years, win 2 more and get to it and win at least 4? I don't think you got to go 4-2 and go to 6 to be like the Warriors dynasty. It doesn't mean, they didn't say, can you be better than the Warriors dynasty? Can you be the NFL like what we just saw with the Warriors and the dynasty in the NBA, winning 4 championships in 8 years and going to 6 NBA finals and 5 in a row that they went to NBA finals? It's not going to happen with Super Bowls, but because 1 game sample size as opposed to 7-game series.
Yeah, that was my point right there. NBA and NFL is so different because in the NFL, anything can happen in 1 game, especially when there's a good team versus a great team, right? Because in the playoffs, your league is going to be a good team. It's a good team versus a great team. NBA Finals, you have a 7-game sample size, typically, not always, but typically, over 7 games. The great teams find ways to beat the good teams. It's going to be way more difficult in the NFL, but I also don't think it's impossible for the Chiefs to win 2 more in 4 years. Again, I don't think the actual going to the Super Bowl that many times. But again, that would be 3 Super Bowl appearances, and winning 2 would be the same thing, correct?
Well, yeah.
'Cause they've been to 3. They've won 2.
Yep.
So they could go to 3 and win 2.
That'd be
Again,
4 and 2.
That's still
That'd be the exact same thing over 8-year span.
It's still absurd. I don't see Kevin Durant walking in the door anytime soon.
Yeah,
Frankly, if you want to make the same case, maybe it was Tyreek Hill who left.
Yeah.
That was your Kevin Durant, if you will, the piece you didn't need, but it sure helped. It didn't
That's
hurt.
right.
It was fine.
Yeah. They had just lost the finals when they got Kevin Durant, and then they won the next 2, and then Durant was injured in the finals that they ended up losing. That was when Durant came, was it game 4, game 5, whichever game he came back in the NBA Finals and then ruptured his Achilles.
Yeah.
That was the only game in which he played in the NBA Finals. They lost that NBA Finals to the Raptors. So they went 2-2 without Kevin Durant, did the Warriors overall dynasty. They went 2-0 with Kevin Durant when he actually played in the NBA Finals with them. So there is not a player out there that would come in and be the best player on this Chiefs team better than Patrick Mahomes, whereas Durant entered that and then was the best player and then MVP of the NBA Finals, etc.
So if we're looking at an 8-year time span, the Chiefs are actually smack dab in the middle with 2 wins in 4 years and 3 appearances, right? So that's the halfway point of what the Warriors dynasty was. Again, this is a tall order for Kansas City, but I don't think it's out of the equation. But I want to bring up this to you. Do you think, because Travis Kelce was adamant that the Chiefs are in the midst of a current dynasty. So that, to my ears, says if we're to end right now, you would look back and say this was a Chiefs dynasty.
I think it's a small run dynasty. I don't think it's you look back at the most dynastic teams in the history of sports and in the NFL. I don't think people would land on the Chiefs because it's a 5-year run. And it's 2 Super Bowls in 5 years, but we've seen teams have a couple of Super Bowls in that span, and it wouldn't be like, hey, this team, is a dynasty. What I believe makes the Chiefs, even if it's a smaller, short-term one, is the fact that in that 5 years, they've played for the championship of their conference all 5 years. They're 3-2 in those games, and they're 2-1 in the Super Bowl. Because they beat the Eagles is the only reason why they're now in the conversation.
Yes.
If they were 1-2 in the Super Bowl, I don't think it would be a question. It'd be like, it was a great run, but you got to win multiple Super Bowls to be considered that. I think over the next 3 or 4 years, if they win one more, if you get 3 in 8 years and you throw in all the AFC championships and you also throw in the fact that you went to another Super Bowl, if you're like 3-1, or maybe you get to 2 more Super Bowls, win one. If you go 3-5.
Yeah.
Or 3-2, I should say, 3-2 in an 8-year span in the Super Bowl. Yeah, you're a freaking dynasty because you would have won 3 championships and gone to 5 of them and then played in a number of other, conference championships. I don't think there would be any question at that point. It's a matter of, to me, this run being viewed as like a true dynasty nationally and historically, what they do the next 3 years.
To me, it always comes down to the third. Once you get that third ring in any sport, really, that's when I think you become the conversation.
What's the time frame, though, for that third one? Is it 10 years?
Well,
Is
it's
it
tough because Kobe
6
Bryant,
years,
if you're
7
going to
years?
say the Lakers and their dynasty, if you will, it kind of evolved from the first one where they had the three-peat, right? Was it 98, 90? No, it was 01.
01, 2, and 3? Or is then 1 and 2?
Oh, whatever it was. The 3-year one there, right?
Yep.
And then they also had the 2 eventually with Paul Gasol.
Mm-hmm.
Which one was the dynasty? Was it the 3 ones at the beginning, or the 2, or was it the all-encompassing Lakers 2000s dynasty? Like, there's ways you can look at this, but to me it always comes down to you have to have that third. Once you get that third ring, that's when you're in the conversation of the pantheon, if you will, of dynasties.
The Patriots became such a prolonged dynasty because of the second 3 Super Bowls in 5 years.
Yeah.
Because they had gone 9 years without winning one. They had won the 3 out of 4, winning a Super Bowl, missed the playoffs, Super Bowl, and then 9 years before they won another one. They went to 2 Super Bowls in that time, but it was 9 years before they won their next Super Bowl.
Sure.
But then when they won that one, they won 3 in 5 years, also going to a Super Bowl in that and losing a Super Bowl along the way. So they went to 3 of 4 Super Bowls after 9 years before that, winning 3 of 4. It created this long 17, 18-year dynasty of the Patriots and winning the division every single year and things like that. That's part of the whole thing, is not only dominating your division, but dominating the conference, dominating in winning championships. That's what creates the Patriots. If the Patriots didn't have that second run, it would have been an awesome 4-year stretch, but then they missed the playoffs before, and then I don't even know if they made it the next couple of years. They made the playoffs, but then they went to the Super Bowl the year after that.
Castle, baby.
And then the year after that is when they missed the playoffs because of Tom Brady and Matt Castle. But they had lost the Super Bowl the year before when they were undefeated and ended up going 18-1 that year. But the next run of winning Super Bowls makes them an all-time dynasty that would last from the early 2000s to the late 2010s, and Tom Brady being a big part of that. I don't know that if Patrick Mahomes will have that same career arc to where it's the 2020s and then also coming back in the 2030s and winning 3 or 4. That'd be badass if he ends up doing that. But I think the next 2 or 3 years for this Chiefs team, do they get to another Super Bowl? Can they win another Super Bowl in the next 3 years? Also, what are they doing in the playoffs? Because that, to me, is where they can. So the question would be like, do you need 4 championships to be compared to like a Warriors dynasty in the NBA? Because the Warriors lost in the NBA Finals twice, won 4 of them, but outside of that, didn't even play for the conference championship. Yeah. Outside of going to the final. Now, they went to the finals 5 years in a row. But then before and after that, they didn't even play for the conference championship. Before that, they missed the playoffs twice.
Was that with Baron Davis, Monta Ellis?
But with injuries, though, I mean, they missed the playoffs twice with Clay and Steph and different injuries. But again, that happens. Like when you're looking at a dynasty overall, like you go to 5 straight finals, you go 3-2 in those finals. You've got 3 championships, and then you miss the playoffs back-to-back years. Then you go to the NBA Finals and win it. Then you lose in the semis the year after that. And now the question is, like, are they going to be close to what they were moving forward? You've got your GM that's out. Draymond Green, could opt out and may end up somewhere else. And that, dynasty sort of breaking up. Do you have to win 4 if you've played for so many conference championships like the Chiefs have? And if you win the division every single year, and if you never miss the playoffs and are in a chance to win a Super Bowl, do you have to win 4? Or can 3 suffice in 8 years with a number of Super Bowls and then conference championship appearances and winning the AFC West and never missing the playoffs when the Warriors missed 2 playoffs in that run?
Yeah, I think 3. Again, 3 is my number because the NFL is so much more difficult once you get to the playoffs than the NBA. The 1 versus 7, the small sample size, I always just stick on 3. Right now, the Chiefs are in a AFC domination, an NFL domination. But again, you got to look back. It's always that 3rd one that makes a dynasty. And what's going to be interesting is Mahomes is going to be here. But Travis Kelce kind of alluded to it when he goes, I hope I'm there for a little bit. But he also understands Mahomes is going to be here for hopefully another 10, 15 years, right? We're hoping 10 years probably is what we're hoping for.
I'm actually hoping for 20, but you go ahead.
37 years.
You be pessimistic all you want.
He can be looking like Santa Claus with a ZZ Top with a big beard. I get it.
Sterling Holmes is saying that Patrick will not play till he's 48, and I just don't understand why you're coming on the show to be such a negative Nancy.
He will play longer than Julio Franco did, and that's what we're going with. But the point is, there's going to be different iterations of this team. We saw it with Brady and the Patriots. And we're going to eventually see it with the Chiefs. We don't even know who the next stars are going to be once Chris Jones is gone, once Travis Kelce is retired. But Mahomes is still going to be here. And that's what makes the elongated dynasty, and again, what the Patriots went through. If you want a game plan that the Chiefs might look like, they probably will have a 4-year stretch where they're not the best team in the NFL. Right? I mean, because
shut your mouth.
Well, no, but
I know. I'm just
if we're being realistic, where their guys were gone, and then they had to get who back? Yes. It was Randy Moss, and then it was Wes Welker after that. They went through these
Edelman
rotations, and there's going to be a stretch in the middle where the Chiefs aren't going to hit on every single draft pick. When Kelce's gone and Chris Jones is gone, but Mahomes is still here, he'll carry you to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
You'll still be playing for games, but there might be a stretch in there, and that's what's going to also define his legacy is Tom Brady always seemingly elevated his teams. Was it him? Was it Belichick? We'll see. But with Mahomes, he'll have that same stretch at some point, and it's probably going to be when Kelsey retires because Tyreek Hill's gone. How much can he elevate everyone else? And we kind of saw with a Super Bowl win with MVS being wide receiver 1 in an actual playoff game.
Looking through here to the Chiefs in Super Bowl 54 when they beat the 49ers. I'm counting 5 players not named Mahomes that were on that team that'll be on the team this year. The entire offense, the entire starting offense except for Kelsey. Kelsey and Mahomes are the only starters of that Super Bowl championship team against the 49ers that are on this team right now. Because Hardman was on that team and started, and he is not on the team anymore. He is a New York Jet. Sammy Watkins, the entire offensive line, obviously.
Was Nick Allegretti a rookie that year?
Nick Allegretti played in the game.
Yeah.
He played in the game. He played special teams, but he is part of that. Winchester. 3 of those guys are special teamers. Butker, Winchester, and Allegretti at the time.
Yeah.
Were guys who were on special teams that are returning. Chris Jones, Derek Nottie, and then you've got Kelsey and Blake Bell.
The Belldozer.
That's the changeover. That's the turnover for a team that is the Super Bowl favorites that comes off another Super Bowl championship in a game in which Mecole Hardman didn't play in. So even if you say, well, Hardman was on that team and was on, Hardman did not play in the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, he gets injured injured early against the Titans and then re-injures against the Bengals. But that's the turnover. Like when they traded Tyreek Hill, to me, I had called it the next phase of Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. The second they traded Tyreek Hill, because we had wondered for a number of years, man, what do the Chiefs look like without Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce? Ooh, shut up. I don't want to think about that. Well, we had to think about it. And then we watched it, and they won the Super Bowl without Tyreek Hill. I don't want to think about what life will be like without Travis Kelce, because it's different saying taking one of those guys away versus taking both of them away. But I'm going to guess that Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs will have an opportunity to win one. Hopefully they win 1 or 2, but they'll be pretty damn good offensively when Travis Kelce has retired and moved on. I don't know what that iteration will look like and how they'll do it. I know how they'll do it right now, which is why I don't want to think about life without Travis Kelce, but I also didn't want to think about life without Tyreek Hill either. And it's been perfectly fine.
I think the biggest storyline we're glossing over when it comes to Golden State and the Chiefs and the comparison as well, Golden State was able to tank 1 year and draft first overall. Chiefs aren't going to have that luxury. I don't think that's going to happen. Now, they didn't, was it first overall with James Wiseman, right? Or was that
Wiseman,
second?
Or I think they picked him second overall.
Well, the point was they got a top 3 draft pick. Now, they didn't hit on James Wiseman, but they had the opportunity to draft top 3. That's not going to happen with the Kansas City Chiefs. At least we hope it's not going to happen. That would be befuddling if the Chiefs were ever drafting top 3.
That would be,
but seriously,
that would suck.
But that's
something crazy did happen if that happens.
But
yes,
that's
you're
a
right.
pretty big storyline. I think we're glossing over is they were able to reload to an extent by drafting top 3. Chiefs don't have that opportunity.
Yeah, James Wiseman was the second overall pick
because it was Anthony Edwards. I think that went first to Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken.
Of course. Who did they get back when they traded? I don't even want to look. Don't even care who they got back when they moved on from James Wiseman and they traded him. So don't care who they ended up getting back. Doesn't really matter. I know they got a world championship the next year. Or no, he was on that championship team.
He was.
So they had traded. Actually, you know what? They traded him at the trade deadline this year.
Yes, correct.
The Warriors did. So
it was Gary Payton II, who was actually a valuable piece.
Yeah.
2 future second-round draft picks is what they got back.
Got Draymond in the second round as a future Draymond.
Think of drafting a dude second overall, and you got was Gary Payton a second-rounder or undrafted guy, and then 2 future second-rounders.
Yeah, I don't know that he was drafted. I'm not sure if he
adequately
he was. Yeah. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. We'll talk a little bit more about the Kansas City Chiefs. Bill Barnwell and Mina Kimes on NFL Live weighed in on the Chiefs' offseason and what happened and the position that Brett Veach yet again has put this Chiefs team in. We'll take a timeout. We'll hear about that. And then also may address, again, real quick, we talked a lot about Dave Toub and the kickoff with Matt Derrick on Friday, but I do want to play the sort of conflicting parts that we heard from Dave Toub on Thursday. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 8.
Contracts or hidden fees.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. Sterling Holmes hanging out. Drake, we head up until 2 o'clock. We'll talk with Mick Schaefer at 1 o'clock, KSHB 41 Sports Director. Also get Learn Funniest Best from the weekend. Sterling's going to come up with his Learn Funniest Best on the fly. You've had a couple of hours notice now, so put you on notice that you have to notice of what we've noticed.
We're gonna wing it. We're gonna wing it.
Do it. Do that. What did you learn this weekend? Let me figure it out real quick. I'll tell you what I learned.
Tell everyone to pause. Tell everyone to pause for a little bit. Let me think.
Yes. Don't worry. You'll be second and learned, first and funniest, last and best. So, you got some time to think of your best.
He is last best.
We did not save the best for last. We saved him to the last because
you hope everyone
that's the best
turns
way to do
off. You hope everyone's like, all right, we heard Jason's, both the Jasons. Don't got to listen to Sterling.
We heard Mick. We heard Drake. We heard Jason. Done. All right, 913-912-4810. NFL Live on Friday, hosted by one Field Yates. Had Bill Barnwell and Mina Kimes, and they were weighing in on doing a series of different teams' offseason moves. And this one was about the Chiefs and the offseason moves they made. It starts with Bill Barnwell, and then Mina Kimes weighs in, and they talk about what the Chiefs were able to do and setting themselves up yet again to be Super Bowl favorites.
Field, something we've never seen a Super Bowl winning team do before. Let's swap out both of their offensive tackles.
Never.
They let Orlando Brown leave, let Andrew Wiley leave. You bring in Jawan Taylor from the Jaguars, who you figured was going to move to the left side, but instead they signed Donovan Smith from the Buccaneers. I think they actually upgraded at tackle by going out and adding two veteran players who are going to be immediate, solid starters on the outside of a very solid interior offensive line. And we know with Patrick Mahomes, all you have to do is give him time to throw. Remember that Super Bowl? That's the only time he's really looked bad in the postseason because there was nobody there to block for him. The Chiefs learned their lesson, had a good line last year, might have an even better line this year in front of the reigning MVP and reigning Super Bowl champion.
The change of tackle is really fascinating, not just because, as Bill said, it's unprecedented, which I didn't know for a Super Bowl champion. That's pretty wild. But as you guys remember, when the Chiefs signed Jawan Taylor, there was an assumption that he would replace Orlando Brown Jr. at left tackle. Then we learned after they signed Donovan Smith from Tampa that Taylor was going to play right tackle, which is great for the right side of the offensive line because I think he can be one of the best right tackles in football there. My question is whether Donovan Smith can get back playing at the level he was a few years ago, because last season was rough. He was incredibly penalized, had a lot of lapses in pass protection, and I think for Kansas City, for him to play at least at the level of Brown, that would be the minimum. Now, I think that Donovan Smith is going to benefit from playing for Kansas City.
Yes.
He gets to play. He goes from, in Tampa, playing next to, frankly, what was one of the worst interior offensive lines in football on account of all the injuries, to a group with Joe Thuney on the left side, Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith, that I think most people, maybe behind the Eagles, would have as the best interior offensive line in football. So perhaps he'll hold a little bit less if he knows that he's not on an island. I also think the difference in these offenses will really help him in pass protection. The run game is very different from Tampa's, which is a very just straightforward power run game. It's more diverse. I think he might be on the move a bit more. And I think the scheme also, which is of course very dependent on RPOs, can help him too.
Absolutely, and I think he's going to have more help on the other side as well, because the Chiefs are a team that uses a ton of two or more tight end sets. That was one of their big changes last year, moving on from Tyreek Hill. One of the ways they adapted went from using two or more tight ends 29% of the time to more than 44% of the time. And it worked out just fine for the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, who was second in the NFL in QBR behind Jalen Hurts, who was awesome as well, when they changed that with two or more tight end sets. So, of course, having Travis Kelce as one of those tight ends, kind of a cheat code, to be fair. But even though the names aren't necessarily big, just having those bodies on the field forces the defense to make some choices about how they're going to defend it, creates mismatches in the passing game, and gives those tackles a little more help as you're blocking for a player in Patrick Mahomes who he likes to extend plays a few seconds here or there if he can.
But doesn't it feel like this could be one of the Chiefs' secret weapons over the next decade or so, is that it's not going to always work out, right? But they're going to be able to acquire players, oftentimes for relative bargains, who are just going to look a whole lot better because of the environment they're playing in Kansas City. I expect that to be the case with Donovan Smith.
So a number of things that Bill Barnwell touched on there, and also Mina Kimes. I also didn't know this was the first time a Super Bowl champion had replaced both tackles from the year before. The Chiefs ended up having two different tackles the year after they won the Super Bowl in the next Super Bowl, but that wasn't because they replaced them. It was because both guys ended up getting injured. I do love the way that Bill Barnwell phrased it when he said they let Orlando Brown walk. They let Andrew Wiley walk because of this, conversation of like, well, Orlando Brown went to the Bengals and, especially with Tyler Boyd last week with we won up the Chiefs by getting Orlando Brown from them. Well, no, because as Bill Barnwell said there, they let Orlando Brown walk. They did. They could have re-signed him. They chose not to. Once he turned down the contract, they moved on to somebody else, and they moved on to Jawaan Taylor, and saying that, look, this could be a better offensive line this year than it was a year ago. With the tackles the way that they play, they're going to be they better be better at right tackle if Jawaan Taylor plays there. And what Mina Kimes brought up, I thought was interesting, is how bad Donovan Smith was last year. Is he going to be improved this year because of simply who he's playing next to and the scheme that he is playing in? Where Field Yates says, this feels like it's going to be a theme that players who might have struggled join the Chiefs. The scheme, players around them, Patrick Mahomes, 1-year prove-it deal, and then they go and they play well and they move on. Juju Smith-Schuster ends up getting that contract with the New England Patriots. But looking through at the left guards, because Shaq Mason played right guard for the Bucs. So left guards for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Nick Leverett actually graded out pretty well last year with a run blocking grade of a pass blocking grade of 71. Run blocking was 56 grade at Pro Football Focus. But Luke Godecki, who also played left guard, as there was, a number of different guys ended up playing left guard next to Donovan Smith. It wasn't like, hey, Joe Thuney is now your left guard. He had a pass blocking grade of 46 and a run blocking grade of 47. So when he played, you had a really bad left guard that was playing next to Donovan Smith. So maybe he did think he was out on an island where maybe the Chiefs can protect him a little bit more with Joe Thuney, one of the best left guards in the game, and one of, if not the best, interior offensive lines in the game with, as Mina Kimes said, the Philadelphia Eagles. So do the Chiefs go into the offseason and get better at offensive line by letting Andrew Wiley and Orlando Brown, their starting tackles from a year ago, walk? We'll find out. A lot of that depends on Donovan Smith. But an interesting point on the just that offensive line, how in flux it was throughout the season last year for the Bucs, and playing next to some left guards that were interchangeable.
You can take a positive or negative outlook on this. There's definitely no wrong way to look at it. If you want to look glass half full, the way you do it is, not only was Donovan Smith injured a good point of last year and he kept playing through it, you mentioned the left guard situation. Look at what happened last year. Orlando Brown Jr. was playing his best football when Joe Thuney was there. Late in the year, the last, 10 games of the year, he looked damn good. I will still say this, and Chiefs fans are going to yell at me. Outside of one horrible half against Jacksonville in the playoffs, the last 10 games that Orlando Brown Jr. was here, he looked good. Besides the one game Joe Thuney missed against the Bengals. He was brutal that game, right? I mean, he was a sieve. So there is something to having a non-perpetual moving left guard. You have to have your same guy there. And we always wonder, at least I do, with Eric Fisher. How good would have Eric Fisher been if his left guard was the same dude throughout his entire career, or at least a talented guy his entire career here in Kansas City? We won't know that. But I do think there's something to that. If you want to take a negative approach, Donovan Smith, he's getting older. Was this the year he just fell off? Again, I don't think there's really a bad one-year deal in the grand scheme of things. A 1 year, $3 million base, up to $9 million.
Yeah.
It's fine. I mean, Orlando Brown Jr. was a good left tackle, but he was not a game-changing left tackle. They had to use Jerick McKinnon to chip him in the playoffs. Like, if there is a drop-off, it's not going to be one so substantial the Chiefs can't overcome it. What it comes down to is the cost acquisition of Jawaan Taylor and Donovan Smith compared to Andrew Wiley and Orlando Brown Jr. That's what it comes down to, is the cost acquisition of those two guys.
Absolutely. Because, look, Jawan Taylor's costing a lot of money, so if he's going to play right tackle, he'd better be much improved than what Andrew Wiley was. And I thought Andrew Wiley was fine last year. He's a fine right tackle, but you don't pay $20 million to Jawan Taylor for him to be a fine right tackle. You pay him that much money to be one of the best right tackles in the game. And one of the things we talked about a couple of weeks ago is, look at the evolution of the pass rusher, the edge rusher in the NFL. The evolution has gone from going up against the left tackle to now the premier pass rushers line up against the right tackle in the NFL. And the guys the Chiefs are going up against line up against the right tackle. The Max Crosbys, the Bosas, the Von Millers, Khalil Max. Now, when he's on the field with Bosa at the same time, somebody's got to line up against the left tackle. But when only one of them played, so they've had some different injuries, when only one of them was out there, they lined up against the right tackle. Max Crosby lines up against the Max Crosby lined up against the right tackle. Von Miller in his career, 80% lining up against the right tackle in his career. Like, that's where your premier pass rushers are coming from. So it used to be like blindside, those best. Well, now your best pass protecting offensive lineman, put him on the right side, Jawan Taylor. It doesn't mean that you need to have somebody or can just have somebody who sucks on the left side. But it's a good point about the game in which Joe Thuney missed against the Cincinnati Bengals, what Orlando Brown was in that game, which also sort of interesting that Bengals fans are excited about Orlando Brown when they've seen their team beat him a number of times, beat Orlando Brown, and that's who they were attacking. It's just weird that a team would be like, let's attack Orlando Brown, and then go to the offseason, they sign him and go, it's all fixed. We got it. Our offensive line is so much better. We got the guy that we used to game plan against to go and attack when we were going up against that particular tean.
The one pushback I'll give to Jawan Taylor in his contract, I'm with you. He has to be an absolute
He's got to be better
stud.
than Wiley. I don't even care if, all of that stuff, but he's got to be better than Wiley.
But much better.
Yes.
$13 million per year better. That's what it comes down to an extent, because I understand that there's no longer this, you can have a weak right tackle. You're correct. Max Crosby, some of the elite guys, they go at right tackle. But the NFL has not caught up to this as far as right tackle contracts.
True.
Left tackle is so much paid, or the pay is so much different from left tackle to right tackle. Same thing at tight end. Travis Kelce, we all know, is the most underpaid player probably in the NFL. But you don't pay tight ends like wide receivers, even if, again, it's just as important. So paying a right tackle like a left tackle, there's some questions for me. Again, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying you can have a weak right tackle, but the rest of the NFL is not cut up there. So he better be as good, because he's getting paid just barely less than Lane Johnson, who, by the way, way more guarantees to Jawan Taylor than to Lane Johnson. So that's all I'm saying. He better be damn good just based on that contract.
See, and to me, I look at the overall pay towards the offensive line and that tackle position. So in 2019, when they won the Super Bowl, they had right around $30 million invested in Fisher and Schwartz. Might have been like 25. I think 15 for Fisher, 10 for Schwartz. Sure. So around 25 million. This year, if you're saying 20, if you're looking at annual average value, I actually think that might have even been against the cap, but regardless, annual average value, $20 million for Jawan Taylor and $3 million for Donovan Smith.
I think we should probably say closer to 9. For the reason why I'm saying closer to 9, because if he's starting, he's probably going to hit the majority of his incentives.
If he gets to 9, if the Chiefs are sitting with $29 million for their tackles this year, then that means Donovan Smith hit all of the incentives, which would probably be a Super Bowl incentive in there as well.
Correct.
And you feel really damn good about the $29 million you spent at your tackle position, given how good the interior is.
And here's where it could have been. Just all things considered, we will never know, but Orlando Brown Jr. is getting paid, what, $16.5 million per year?
Mm-hmm.
And Wiley is at $7 million. So you're looking at about 23.5 for those two guys, which would be their current contract. I'm not taking last year's contract, their current contract. 23.5 is what we're probably looking at for those two guys. And then you're looking at this year where it's 20 and up to 9, which is probably going to be 9. So 29 to 23.5.
It'd be great if it was 9. But like the salary cap this year, for instance, Jawan Taylor is 5.8 and Donovan Smith is 2.7. So you're looking at $8.5 million total salary cap for your tackles, regardless of which side the bulk of that goes to, whether that be Jawan Taylor. And I think there is a little bit of a old school mentality of how could you possibly pay your right tackle that much money and not your left tackle, when we're seeing the right tackle is the one that's getting schemed against with the best edge rushers in football. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, wrap up this hour. Mick Schaefer joins us at 1 o'clock. More Zone right after this.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook.
We continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Drake. We'll talk with Mick Schaefer coming up at 1 o'clock. And as we, sort of talking about the cap disbursement, money disbursement on the offensive line, as we're, discussing Jawaan Taylor and Donovan Smith, as Bill Barnwell discussing the big moves from the Chiefs in the offseason and setting themselves up in what Bill Barnwell thinks will be a better offensive line than what was a year ago with Donovan Smith and Jawaan Taylor. And just looking at, okay, so you're paying Jawaan Taylor the annual average value of $20 million, 4 years, $80 million. There is an out after year 3. So the cap hit this year is almost 6. Cap hit next year is 24.7. Cap hit in 25 is 24.7. And then you can get out of that and save $20 million against the cap. And that would be going into his 29-year-old season if you're Jawaan Taylor. One of the things that you can look at in terms of moving money around is when you get into 2025, that would be the first year of the free agency for Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith, their final year being 2024. So if you re-signed them to a contract, the first year, their new contract would be 2025, when Jawaan Taylor is almost $25 million against the cap. But we know the Chiefs, typically that first year is going to be a little bit cheaper. So that's how you would then be able to stagger it. We're paying $25 million against the cap for Jawaan Taylor, but we're paying a combined $8 million for Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith if they go down that route. Then you move on from Jawaan Taylor and his $25 million against the cap, and then Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith's cap starts to kick in a little bit more, and hopefully at that point you're replenishing with draft picks and other things at the tackle spot, and you can afford to pay some of those things. You're not going to be able to pay Jawaan Taylor $25 million, a left tackle that you may find somewhere, and then Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith as the highest center and one of the higher paid guards in all of football. You're not going to be able to do that because Joe Thuney certainly won't be around in 25.
Correct.
It's just a matter of where you're going to allocate those resources.
Where do you land on Wanya Morris? Is there any chance you could see him being a starting tackler for the Chiefs at some point, maybe even after this year? Because Donovan Smith, in my opinion, is a one-year rental. There's still no long-term game plan at left tackle that it looks like. We thought it was Jawaan Taylor. Talking with Tim Grunard, some of his sources in Jacksonville have said, hey, he's going to be a damn good right tackle in the future. We see him being an absolute great right tackle. We don't see him as a left tackle. If that's the case, then there's still no long-term future at left tackle. It makes the Wanya Morris pick a little confusing, although I'm very high on Wanya Morris. I couldn't be more excited about him. Do you think there's a chance he plays left tackle? He played left tackle in college his freshman year at Tennessee.
It was rough.
He was all freshman SEC.
Yeah, I think there's a chance certainly that he could play left tackle. I think he's got the athleticism to be able to do that, and I think he's got great coaches with Andy Heck and Andy Reid to be able to develop that. Darian Kennard was also thought, this guy can play right tackle. He played right tackle at Kentucky. He can move down to guard, and he never developed into that with the coaching that we're talking about with Andy Heck and Andy Reid.
A little different. One at a much higher pedigree.
Oh, I agree.
He was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. The thing with Wanya Morris, he played in 3 systems.
Mm-hmm.
One at Tennessee, where he was all freshman as a left tackle, started all 12 games, 5-star recruit out of high school. Oklahoma was there, and then obviously Lincoln Riley went to USC.
Yep.
So in another system. That's a lot for I don't care for any player, tackle, quarterback, wide receiver. I get it. It's not quarterback, but that's a lot for a young player, different system and schemes.
Yeah.
I have a lot of hope for Wanya Morris.
No, I do too, but I'm making the comparison of when I say, he's got the good coaching and Andy Heck and Andy Reid, so he's got a chance to really maximize what his skill sets are for them to bring out the best and develop him. I then counter my own argument and point out, to play devil's advocate, we also thought the same thing about Darian Kennard a year ago, that, look, this guy shouldn't have been in there in the 5th round. People think he can play guard, certainly, but the Chiefs think they've got a right tackle. And especially now with Andy Heck and Andy Reid, that never happened, but it doesn't mean the same things same things will be missing from Wanya Morris. I think he's played left tackle before, so then there's a chance he could play that in the NFL. I don't know what the long-term deal is for the Chiefs, long-term plan at left tackle. You thought it was Jawaan Taylor, like you said. If they still think it's Jawaan Taylor, then why extend that one more year and not just move Jawaan Taylor to the left side now?
These are emails filling your employees' inboxes. Download.
Update in the Women's College World Series. Still 2-2 in the bottom of the sixth now. As I said when Stanford went up 2-0, I said, give me Oklahoma 8-2. It is 2-2, bottom of the sixth. The Stanford Cardinal is at bat. They had first and second, nobody out, but a ground ball back to the pitcher. She throws to third. They get the lead runner, so now still first and second, one out, tied 2-2, bottom of the sixth. Oklahoma with one more at bat in the top of the seventh. If Stanford scores here or scores in the bottom of the seventh, we'll see. But yeah, so Oklahoma on the brink of losing a game in the Women's College World Series. And then they'll certainly come back and win every other game the rest of the way and win by a wide margin. And they'll be the studs, and it'll just be, remember when Stanford beat them that first game? But that is assuming that Stanford's going to come through and get a run here.
I think OU just subbed in their ace on the mound.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, so they might not get, Stanford might not get another base runner. Yeah, so Ball hasn't been pitching.
No.
Now she is.
Well,
She's like 30-1 on the year.
Is that it?
Although that is
I don't
their
care
only
about
loss.
That's a
She
one,
didn't-
baby.
She didn't pitch their only loss.
Yeah, I don't really care about pitcher wins. What does she do during the game? Okay. And she wears number 98. That's pretty badass.
I think she's like the top pitcher in the country, if you care about that.
I mean, I don't care about wins by a pitcher. What's to say she's a top pitcher in the country? Does she lead the country in wins?
I think
the
lower third graphic said first team All-American when that came up.
Well, it's fine.
That's what said it.
Yeah, because I look at who's the best pitcher in the country. Well, who leads in wins? That's what I would look at.
What's her ERA plus?
What's her FIP? I need to know the fielding independent pitching. That's what I need to know.
I feel like when you pitch every game, pretty much wins, and you pitch like every pitch of every game, wins probably matter a little bit more in softball.
Potato. I mean, you can think that all you want.
How often do they pitch in softball? Because that sounds like she's going back to like 1920s baseball.
They
where
go
you-
every
you're-
day.
You're in the bump every single game.
Underhand's a little different than overhand.
Yes, it is, yeah. We were built to throw underhand, not overhand.
Yes.
And so they pitch most of the time, almost every pitch of almost every game.
Yeah. And some are pretty
You have
good.
like two pitchers.
And if they play for Oklahoma, they're probably pretty good.
Oh, that's close.
And we just said, because we can't do play-by-play on the air of that. But I can give you an update. There is now 2 outs and a runner at first and
OU's
second.
winning this game. Give me a break.
I know they are. I had them winning 8-2, which can
Might
still
still win
happen because
8-2.
they can drop a 6-burger on the in the top of the 7th.
The cool thing is the pitcher for Stanford, the National Freshman Pitcher of the Year, Kennedy is her last name. She's from Topeka High.
How about that?
She is a stud.
Topeka.
Yes.
Let them know. Rise up.
She'll be pitching here.
Let them know. 913-912-4810 is the text line to join us. 913-912-4810. Text line to be a part of the show. Mick, you guys talked about it at KSHB 41 yesterday, and we talked about it in Sunday Sound Off. What do you think we've mentioned a couple times, what do you think the legacy is of Norma Hunt, who passed away yesterday? Late afternoon, the news came down, and early evening, but you talked about it on the sports a couple of times, and then we discussed it at the panel in the Sunday Sound Off.
I mean, look, she was, the wife of one of the key members of the Foolish Club, right? That bore the AFL, that led to the merger with the NFL, that led to the professional football that we see today. And she was right there, a part of, such a huge sports fan, right there, a part of all those deals that the Hunt family did for all those years, all those decades. And what a cool thing to be the only woman, and I believe one of only 4 people that's known to have gone to every single Super Bowl. All 57.
It's amazing.
The Chiefs were only in 5? Chiefs were only in 5?
Yep, 5.
5.
5. 1, 2, 3.
Big old break between 4 and 54.
Yes.
It's a big old break there.
There was 2, and then there
she
was
was
3.
going every year.
It was 2 and 3. And she went to everyone, even with that long break from 4 to 54. Some people would say 50 years, a lifetime.
Some would say that.
I don't know who would say that, but some would say that. My son would say that.
He would. And
strike out.
I like the first lady of football. I like that title given to her.
It's a great title. I had mentioned that when the World Cup comes to Kansas City in a few years, it will be the marrying of the fandom of the Hunt family and Norma being right alongside when you bring the Dallas Texans to Kansas City. And part of the AFL, you mentioned the Foolish bunch people, and turning into the Kansas City Chiefs, having a successful franchise, getting Arrowhead Stadium built, maintaining their status in the NFL and around Kansas City, falling in love with soccer and attending the World Cup, bringing the MLS to the country, creating that, bringing an MLS team to Kansas City with the Wizards, and then on into Sporting KC, and the fandom growing in soccer. And in a few years, the culmination of the Hunt family and their two loves will be Kansas City getting to host a World Cup game.
They're a soccer family first.
It's
they really
amazing.
are. I mean, this Clark played at SMU. I believe his son played as well. And then, FC Dallas with was the Columbus Crew?
It was the Columbus Crew, yeah.
And then certainly with the soccer here in Kansas, they love all types of football. But I really think they're a soccer family first. But I mean, it's in America, right, where the NFL is king, and they're known more for that. But it wasn't just that. He's in the Lamar's in the Tennis Hall of Fame.
Yes.
It's great, right? He's in I think he's in 7 Halls of Fame. And then I didn't know that I didn't know two things came. I didn't know they were investors with the Chicago Bulls back in the 90s.
I didn't know that either.
And then I didn't know that they brought Worlds of Fun to town. I had no idea.
I found that out. When did I find that out? It's been a while. It was roughly 24 hours ago.
Yes, same. I think we're right next to each other when we found it out. Yeah,
known about it.
Mick, that was your learned. You gave us 2 already.
Oh, I learned so much this weekend, so I'm good. I've got some others in the back pocket. Yeah.
Got some. You want to give one to Sterling? He found out a couple of hours ago he's doing learned.
Yeah.
Funniest.
I'll get you.
Also,
I'll
he's
get you
gonna do
learned.
it best.
You need to learn. I get you learned. I get you learned. 3 minutes.
Yeah, I can get you toenail polish on it. I can get you learn the polish on it. You probably don't get that reference.
No,
Do you watch movies?
No, he does. He got a reference earlier today
That's
in a
nice.
movie, so that was good. It was a nice.
What movie?
Big Lebowski.
Big Lebowski.
Oh, I love the dude.
You need a toe?
You
I can get you a toe.
I can get you a toe,
You
dude.
can get your toe with polo.
By 3 o'clock.
The rug really
Amateur
tied this
polish
room
on.
together.
There you go.
Rug Pierce wouldn't do this. All right, 913-912-4810 is the text line to be a part of the show.
Here's is it Najee? I think Kennedy. I mean, she dominated 6A softball for 4 years, and that's one of the few state championships played in town. So I'd always go and cover their games at SMSD or over in Lawrence, and
high
school softball was easy for her.
She's been shutting the Oklahoma offense down, so that ain't easy. And she struck out last 7 batters. She struck out 4 of them. That's pretty good. Texas with a big thank you and exclamation points. I've given up arguing with Bengals fans about Hendrickson working Brown over and over. I was joking about that, Bengals fans excited about Orlando Brown with them when the defense was like, hey, we're playing the Chiefs. Let's attack that number 57 at left tackle. Hey, guess what? We signed that number 57. All fixed. We got it all fixed. But you know what? He's not going up against Trey Hendrickson. So as long as that's not the case, or Jermaine Pratt, or whoever else, because Bill Barnwell was weighing in on NFL Live and saying that the Chiefs offseason, he said that the Chiefs will have a better offensive line this year than they did last year with Jawan Taylor and Donovan Smith.
Yes, they will.
Uh-oh.
We could say uh-oh.
Uh-oh. There's
that's how you wins.
Lead off on the
it.
top of the 7th, a double off the wall, hits the top of the wall. I'm sorry, left fielder should have had that. I mean, she dives and hits the wall, but just
close to play-by-play. What I'm hearing
just
right now.
no, I'm just how close is that, Drake? Are we close enough to a play-by-play? What's the
Pretty close.
what's the break there? Like 10 seconds, 15, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, something like that.
Aaron Rowan would have made that catch.
I mean,
she did get some little choppy steps, little happy
left
feet
fielder's
there.
got to make that catch.
She went back and looked.
Yep, she was. She got to the warning track and then she sort of choppied and slowed down and then dove and the ball right over the glove.
No, that's total play-by-play.
No, that's color commentary. Okay, that's not play-by-play.
You do that.
I'm doing the.
I'll do sideline then.
I can offer color all day. We got a sideline reporter. We got a color commentary. We just can't have play-by-play.
We got a guy who brought up Aaron Rowan, and that was glossed over.
Well, why do we need to keep talking about Aaron Rowan?
Yeah, what?
No one remembers that catch. When he went face first and broke his nose.
When he broke his face.
But guess what? He caught that ball.
He made the catch.
He made the catch.
I mean, how badly do you want a College World Series?
That's what I'm telling you. If you want it that bad.
That left fielder would have gone to high school around here in Topeka. She makes that catch, I think. That's what I'm hearing from this.
I think I told the story about when Xavier came to the NCAA tournament here in Kansas City, Sweet 16, this past year. and we have a script station in Cincinnati, and so I know the guys there, and the Orlando Brown deal had just happened, and I was like, hey, you getting Orlando Brown? He's like, yeah. I go, whoo, like that. He goes, he's really that good, huh? I'm like, oh no. I go, that's not what woo meant. That was a different woo. That was like, good luck with that. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah, there's a reason 2 teams have given up on him. He's like, well, have you seen what we've been dealing with? I'm like, that's a good point. That's a good point. But I feel like maybe just kind of temper those expectations.
I think I've said this a lot, and I'll continue to say it. Orlando Brown is somewhere in the middle between what the Bengals think they got and what the Chiefs think they gave up. He's somewhere in the middle from he's the worst tackle ever to we are now going to win the Super Bowl because Joe Burrow will never be touched again with this guy at left tackle.
What? He's a good right tackle is what he is. He was a good right tackle for Baltimore. That's the middle.
They are better at left tackle with Orlando Brown being there as opposed to Jonah Williams. What you then, in a vacuum, what you then bring in is the money you're paying him. Did you miss out on other guys that you could have paid to bring in and play if Jonah Williams just stayed at left tackle? Those are the parts of like building an entire team. But if you're talking about left tackle, one position or one player to the next, they're better at left tackle than they were last year.
Didn't he say at one point Mahomes wasn't going to get touched when he got to Kansas City? Wasn't that part of his whole introductory press conference we saw what happened in the Super Bowl. Mahomes isn't going to get touched.
It's my job to make sure nobody touches
He
number
was
15.
Maybe the guy that got Mahomes touched the most.
Got him hurt twice in the postseason this year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, win some, you lose some. You know, I mean, just what's the point of going through a postseason with no drama? That's what Orlando Brown was here to do. He's like a script writer.
If Mahomes didn't get touched, it was because of Mahomes.
That's
mobility.
Right. I'll tell you what, Mahomes around the bases on the home run in the softball game, he looked like the ankle was fine to me.
Oh my gosh, you should have seen Nick Jacobs was breaking it down. He's like, if that girl, whoever it is on third base, who's not watching, moves her foot, that is guaranteed a sprained ankle. I'm like, I don't know.
I mean, just like, you plant the wrong.
You guys are very similar. I was worrying about what's next.
It's so weird, man, that I love watching the Chiefs play and I love watching football, but I can't stand when somebody's getting tackled, the feeling that I have until they get up and go back to the huddle. Literally every time. All right, everybody's up. Everybody. I feel like the parent of a kid that's like, is he okay? Okay, he's okay. All right, he's okay. It's like every single Chiefs player, like, he's getting up. Okay,
and it stinks that there's tackles almost every play.
Yeah, he's not. It really does. Yes, it makes for a
I'd
tough.
Sign up for this.
Makes for a tough viewing experience. Like, is he okay? They move the camera. Why are you taking the camera? I don't care about this guy's close up. I need to know what happened on the pile. They are pulling people off the pile. Is somebody's limb detached from their body? I don't know, but I know that this guy's got blue eyes because we get a close up on his face. He's walking just fine. I don't care about him. Okay, everybody's fine.
You're fine with all the new kickoff rules and everything. When Andy Reid says, it's going to get close to touch football here. You're like, yes, thank you. That's what I want.
About damn time.
Bubble wrap.
As long as it is a Chiefs player that either is being tackled to touch football or having to go tackle touch football. Let's get here so there's less injuries. I just think if you've got the best team, no injuries gives you the best chance of winning.
Yeah.
So, I don't need to watch another game and be like, L'Jarius Sneed's a big key to this game against the Bengals. And on the first drive and the third play, L'Jarius Sneed is now out for the game with a concussion. All right, fun. Football's fun. Yay, let's enjoy this one the rest of the game. I'd rather it be just like, hey, the Chiefs won by 30. Cool. That's fun. But Orlando Brown's like, no, you know what? I'm helping the NFL write this script. We got an ankle. We got an issue over here. We got all these wide receivers going down.
I think it was kind of his bad on the play right before the half in the Super Bowl that when
probably I'm just going to assume that I have no idea.
But we wanted to see Chad Henne. Chad Henne had to have his moment.
It's a great part of the script. It was a great part of the script, and you know what? If we didn't see it happen, if they wrote that in Hollywood, nobody would have believed it. Nobody would have believed that Chad Henne comes in and goes 99 yards, and the first ever playoff and only playoff touchdown he's ever thrown because now he's retired. Travis Kelce then threw into the stands.
I feel like that's exactly the script Hollywood would have written. Only he would have done it with 2 seconds left. and then he would have dived at the goal line before the clock hit 0 as if that's a thing.
Yeah.
You've seen that in some football movies?
Yeah.
They think you have to score before it hits 0.
It's counting down.
It's
2,
all these actors who have never played sports.
1.
Oh, I got it. Okay. He dives in, and then the clock hits 0. You don't have to. It's fine.
But also,
you can hit 0 50 yards away as long as the play's still going.
Right before he gets there, as he's reaching, you look and his knee is actually down. He's
Yeah.
actually down, but they don't really care about that reaching over. And it's like, oh, wow, he scored a touchdown. And no, his knee was down. They're going to bring that one back, guys.
And it's the center who snaps the ball, who's leading the blocks all the way, and he has like 5 blocks all the way downfield. And every time the guy does a backflip whenever he blocks him, right?
And the ball is still in the quarterback's hand, and you're sitting there, that illegal man downfield. That's coming back.
Right.
That's an illegal man downfield.
It's like, why doesn't that offensive lineman block like that more often?
He should.
Why is it
but
always
hey,
just
he got motivated. That's why. That's what movies are teaching us.
Just tanking.
Get motivated, care more.
Billy
Whoever
Bob
cares the most wins.
Billy Bob blocked the field goal.
He
Put
did.
me in, Coach Lance. I'll block it. I'll block it. Put me in. And he blocked it. He was right. Why didn't he do that often?
Baseball's my favorite when there's a dude on the mound who is clearly never played baseball before. And he's
They always make an edit right as he's releasing the pitch to make it look like he's somewhat legitimate.
That thing's going 40 miles an hour tops, and it's like 103, Coach. What do you think? He's 47 years old. Do we sign him?
Well, I don't know if that arm's going to hold up. He's only throwing 103. That last one was 102. I feel like 104. Let's give him a shot.
Show him the curve.
Show him. Yep. He can hit the curveball. That's right. Let's see if you can hit my curve. Yeah. So now it's first and second, 2 outs for Oklahoma. Still 2-2.
Kennedy is
top of the 7th now.
She is her.
Yeah. She struck out the last 2 batters, I believe. And I love
No,
it when
one popped out to left
so a pop out, and then she just struck out the most recent batter. And I love as I'm watching
on like
this,
a pitch that was like 7 feet high, but in softball, you have what's called a rise ball.
Yeah.
It's like it's
she strikes somebody out, and she's screaming and yelling at the catcher like in the middle of the inning. I love it because in Major League Baseball, the benches would have cleared 7 times by now with her reactions. But you know what?
To be fair, that's a similar reaction that every softball player has after every.
I know.
out.
That's what I'm saying, and it's great because in softball, you know what happens when you strike out and the pitcher is flexing and screaming and yelling. You go back to the dugout and you get ready to go hit your next time. You don't get all pussyfooting and be mad about something out there by just I'm upset about this and upset about that, and I can't. We need to have people come in and let's fight.
They haven't found the unwritten rules, though, yet. That's the issue. Once they find the book of unwritten rules in softball, then they'll start
There's
fighting.
a scroll, I believe, somewhere around Mount Sinai.
Yeah. Is that where it is?
I think so.
Okay. Cool. Great.
It's in the Bible. It's one of the Thessalonians, I think.
Yeah.
Talks about it.
Should I be mad or should I not? Like, I'm really upset because you struck me out, but I'm going to fight you, but I'm not going to fight you. But I want to fight you, and I want to bring the benches are going to clear, but then, there's a pitching coach in front of me. Well, next time, just don't strike me out and celebrate like that, or this pitching coach is not going to be able to get in front of me.
If you're the offense,
if
you want a bat flip, then you.
Now I'm cautious.
Then yeah.
Oh, I'm going to be
There's a fine
mean.
line between like celebrating and taunting, right? I know you're a sports radio guy. You want to bat flip 100 feet in the air.
I do like the bat flips.
Karate chop the shortstop as you're rounding second base.
I do like karate chopping shortstops when you go
Albert
around second
Bell would thrive. Albert Bell would live for that moment. Yeah. I would also say, though, it also depends who's on the mound. Kyle Farnsworth does that. You're not saying anything.
You just tip your cap.
You
like
tip
that.
your cap. Yeah, fine, Kyle. I'm not going to fight you.
Good job, man. No, that was a great pitch.
Tim Hill does it. Maybe you throw hands. Maybe you're throwing some hands.
Paul Bird.
Yeah.
Amir Garrett, he's ready to fight.
Yeah, Amir Garrett strikes you out and does that. You're like, all right, Amir.
Hey, nice job, man.
Appreciate you.
Amir Garrett,
I know this is actually strike 2. I'm going to the dugout. It doesn't matter.
There are some pitchers that are like, you hit somebody like, oh, I hope he doesn't get mad here. Amir Garrett's like, I hope he does. I wish he would. Come on out here. Come on. No, I hit you just to see if you would come out to the mound because I want a little action.
Yeah, Amir didn't mean to. He just like a curveball got away from him at 81 miles an hour, but he walks up there like he meant to do it.
Still takes 5 steps closer. Like, you want to go? Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. No, I'm ready. I'm ready right now.
That was Kyle Farnsworth. That was his game. I'm just going to drill you with 98. I hope you come at me. Rex Specs, the only guy with Rex Specs who you didn't want to fight.
Yeah, and just know that there's probably some roid rage going on here. I'm guessing. I don't know. I mean, who knows if that was happening? But you just got to worry about that too. Do I want to take this guy on and everything pumping through his body? No, probably not. I don't think I'm going to do that. All right, we got Learn Funniest Best coming up. But real quick, as we've watched Brady Singer the last 2 outings now, is he turning a corner, Mick, at all?
I mean,
Maybe?
it's baseball,
Maybe?
right? There's so many corners to turn, right?
Maybe.
I mean,
It's a
you
corner.
turn one corner and then you can backpedal a little bit, right? And then
If you take 4 rights, then you're back to where you were.
It's exactly it. It's like was it
3 rights.
UPS there, and their drivers aren't allowed to take left turns, right? So
Just got to take 3 rights.
just got to be right. Just right somewhere. We'll get there eventually. Yeah. So with Brady Singer, we'll get there eventually. I think we always look for these hard turns in the season. There it was, June 4th, right? That's when things changed in his career. It's a 90-degree angle. No, I think it's a little zigzag, some this way, that way, and eventually maybe you get there. Although I think last year we thought there was this kind of hard left he's taken, and he's kind of straightened out.
It's been discouraging the first 10 starts. Last 2, okay. Let's see if he can build on that and maybe get a little more consistent and stack starts on top of each other, which is what he was able to do last year.
I like that. Like, really, the only guy. I mean, pitched great, and Mike Moustakas was the guy that chased him out of the game. Perfect. Right? Got a hit.
Exactly right.
Royals won. Perfect.
Yep. And then the bullpen came in, and Aroldis Chapman looked like Aroldis Chapman. And
102,
Scott Barlow
is that what
did.
he hit?
Yeah, Scott Barlow did his thing. It's like, okay, so Brady Singer could be a part of the
You
future.
got a little comfortable insurance run there at the end,
right.
make things a little more comfortable.
So you got
a long ball.
Brady Singer may be a part of the future. Garcia may be a part of the future, and then whoever Chapman and Scott Barlow bring back in a trade. Could be so you saw a number of people that could be part of the future that were all participating in that game. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back to it and remind you, coming up tonight, 7 o'clock, Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals. Panthers, Golden Knights. Vegas is up 1-0. That's right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB at 7 o'clock. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. Learn Funniest Best next.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
You know, Missouri has legalized recreational marijuana. You've probably heard the news at this point, and maybe you're looking around thinking, hey, I know exactly what I want. I just need to figure out where I'm going. Or maybe you're looking around and going, hey, I've got a lot of questions and need a little bit of guidance. Well, either way, I know I can send you to the right next step for you, because that's at Green Light Dispensary. They got 4 KC area locations, including the newest one.
Norwegian Oklahoman, basically.
Is there a big group to choose from?
There's probably multiple Norwegian Oklahomans, but of all of them, he leads the pack. He's the best.
as he should.
Yeah.
I have not kept track on what Zach Boshu was doing in his 36 holes today to qualify for the U.S. Open, but maybe when nobody's looking, Victor Hovland can take the shot.
Yeah.
Right on the. That was one hell of a shot. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Why are they wearing the same outfit?
This is so weird. Why is Hovland wearing these shoes that are platformed? It's almost like he's the same height now as Zach Boshu. What did you learn, Sterling?
No lunch break during the show. There's no lunch break. I am very hungry. This is hard. And then every year Kevin Love has made the playoffs. He has made the finals. Mick, thank you for that one.
You know what? Someone's got to learn it to you.
I learned that last night.
So I learned that from Mick during the break. Yeah. Every year Kevin Love has made the playoffs. He's made the finals 5 times.
5 times. He's played 15 years. Made the playoffs just 5 times, which is hard to do in the NBA.
Only make it 5 times? Yes.
Yes.
A third of the time.
Yeah, that's it. When more than half the teams go now to the playoffs of the NBA.
Well, it's actually the first time he's made the playoffs or the finals without LeBron as well.
It is.
So he's got that going for him. So he finally has shed the LeBron.
And did he start
from him
last night?
He did.
Yeah.
Didn't play a minute in game 1, started and played 22 minutes
weird
last night.
How that works. I don't understand, like NBA rotations and stuff like that.
It's a great maneuver by Spoelstra. They got the win. What did you learn, Mick?
I learned that he was still in the league. I learned Udonis Haslem's on a roster.
Turns 43 this week,
Blake
right?
Griffin was playing with the Celtics, or really not playing, yeah. So I learned about Dame Harriet Walter. Okay, she is a 72-year-old actress. She is not only the mom on Succession, the English mother of the Roys. She is also the mom of Rebecca on Ted Lasso. So she had we're going with Ted Lasso, basically 2 series finales last week. And both, she's probably typecast because she's doling out the mommy issues in both shows, right?
And also English.
And she's very English, very English. And her hair was a little different, so I didn't recognize it. And I learned that it's the same lady, and she is now in a show called Silo, which is on one of the streaming deals. And Silo, by the way, is one of the half dozen projects they did on Entourage that ended up becoming real projects, real films, real movies or TV shows. It's 6 now.
Medellin,
Aquaman.
Yeah, Aquaman, that's right. Aquaman.
Silo, they did...
are they the same concepts
they
were talking
Silo
about?
Silo was about farmers go underground post-Armageddon world. Yeah.
Wow. So Silo, in a ruined and toxic future, a community exists in a giant underground silo that plunges hundreds of stories deep. There, people live in a society full of regulations they believe are meant to protect them. It's on Apple TV. So there you go.
Yes, and my wife watches it, and I saw just a clip the other day, and there was Dame Harriet Walter. She's really coming into her own in her 8th generation, 8th decade there.
I'll start watching this June 20 or June. You know what? July 1st.
Okay.
The final episode is June 30th, so I'll go ahead and binge that one.
The Great Gatsby was another one from Entourage. And then Smoke Jumpers turned into Only the Brave, but it was the same script.
That's unbelievable.
Did you say The Great Gatsby?
Mm-hmm.
That was a book.
It was a movie, too.
No, wait, a book turned into a movie?
It's a movie, too.
I've never heard of that.
It's a movie.
But no, they developed the movie, which there might have actually been an old-timey Great Gatsby. But in Entourage, they had the movie, and then... A couple years later, Leo DiCaprio's starring in Great Gatsby.
Which brings me to my next question. Is Entourage the greatest influence on Hollywood that we've ever seen of any show or movie in history?
I think it's done in Hollywood by Hollywood people, and they were picking up scripts. They're like, oh, this is in a box. Hey, let's try this. That's
probably
and they
right.
throw it back in the box. And then a couple years later, like, no, let's try to make this.
Let's try to make it. Okay, that's cool. Why didn't they come up with Ant-Man? Yeah, they've been really going out of there if it was an Aquaman.
They're like the Simpsons. Didn't Simpsons predict everything, like Trump president, all this stuff?
Yeah, the Simpsons were great. I mean, that's actually, we're all living a script, just like the NFL. Drake, what did you learn?
I learned The Great Gatsby was a book. No, it was kind of sad, but I learned that Roger Craig died. You know, he was the manager of the
Oh, he did?
the
Okay.
Giants when I was a kid, and he was part of one of my all-time favorite baseball things I've ever seen live. It was a summer when I was 14. We went a little family vacation out to San Francisco. I got to go to Candlestick for my one and only time there. And they were playing the Braves. It was kind of a dog of a game. Braves won 1-0, 5-hit complete game shutout from Zane Smith. But the Giants were desperate to get a run across. They tried to squeeze play. Zane Smith trying to tag the runner out at home, ended up colliding with the umpire, falling on his leg. Zane Smith was kind of a big guy. Umpire breaks his leg and is unconscious. And the whole everybody's rushing out trying to take care of him. And as they're trying to get him off the field, Roger Craig comes out and he's, arguing with people. And so finally they go over and they wake up the umpire on the stretcher. And from the stretcher, he calls the runner out. and the whole stadium, and there were 4,500 people at this game. 4,500 people boo this umpire as he's being wheeled off on a stretcher. And it's my favorite Roger Craig memory. So we lost him either late last night or early this morning, and they just made me think about that. One of my favorite things I ever saw.
One of my favorite things ever was for 6 seasons, Roger Craig was the manager of the San Francisco Giants.
Yes.
And Roger Craig was the running back for the San Francisco 49ers.
It's amazing.
They were different people.
It's there are now 2 outs in the top of the 8th, extra inning, still 2-2 with this game in College World Series with Stanford and Oklahoma. For those that may have just been tuning in, going, 2-2. Who's playing? Yeah, Stanford, Oklahoma. Oklahoma, the 1 seed. Stanford, the 9 seed. It is 2-2 in now extra innings, top of the 8th. All right, funniest from the weekend. We start with you, Sterling. What was the funniest for you?
My mom called me and said she won $26 playing poker. I said, "Oh, nice, congratulations. Who'd you play with?" She was at an after party playing with Paul Rudd.
No way.
Yeah. I was like, should have led with that one. And I was like, what was Dad doing? Oh yeah, he was singing karaoke there.
With who? Ted Lasso.
I was like, okay. and I was in bed reading A Clockwork Orange. I think it's funny because
reading The Great Gatsby.
The Great Gatsby. Because apparently I'm a loser.
So
that's not a learn for anybody.
What's the average pot size for a Paul Rudd poker game? I'm guessing.
And how do you leave there with $26,
Yeah.
up or down? Just that.
Either
Usually it's like
way.
I lost 400 or hey, I won 650.
With them, I bet it's a comma in whatever you win or lose.
I walked out of there with $26 in the positive.
Maybe
I
she
feel
was
good.
so happy. I won $26.
Maybe she lost $1,000 and then won the next pot that had $1,026 in it.
But that would be the lead. Would typically be like, I played poker
Yes,
with
exactly.
Paul Rudd last night. Oh, that is so cool. Did you win any money or anything? I won $26, but it was so cool. Here's some great stories of what we were doing.
It's only $26. If it was $2,600, then okay,
Yes.
maybe that trumps Paul Rudd.
Yes,
but maybe even not there. But like $26.
I won a car. Really? That's amazing. Yeah, Paul Rudd put his car in there, and I won Paul Rudd's car. Okay, well, there you go. There's car, and then maybe Paul Rudd. Oh, and I was also playing poker with Paul Rudd. Just have anybody else at the table, or
She didn't
just,
say. I will find more information on this. It was a
Yeah.
very quick call, and it not $25. She had to make sure it was $26.
$26 exactly. And somewhere Paul Rudd's going, honey. I lost $26 last night gambling. I will make it up to you because they've called. I can do another Ant-Man movie. Okay, so I think I'm going to be able to get that $26 back. Sorry about that. That damned auctioneer. She got me again. She was talking so fast. All right, Mick, what was the funniest for you?
All right, so Josh and I have this new favorite Twitter account. His name's Jay Kuda. He is a huge White Sox fan. You follow him? Huge White Sox fan, huge baseball fan. He's like a civil engineer who I think just gets bored at work all day, and he comes up with these. Some of his tweets are kind of very interesting, and he'll mine some stats. You're like, wow, and he's very good with Photoshop, and so it's usually in some graphic form. But half the time, he just puts out these no-duh tweets that are epic, and they're so funny. So my son and I we're driving. We're laughing for this for like half an hour on Saturday. Most home runs hit in a single game, MLB, single player all time. He has 48 columns, 50 home runs in a single game by a player. None. 49, none. 48, none. 47, none. He goes all the way down. 9, none. 8, none. 7, none. 6. Here's how it's presented. Finally, he gets to 4, and he lists all like 12, 15 guys that have done 4, and then he gets to 3, 459 players. But he wastes so much with all this. You see, 90% of the graphic is just like, nobody's ever hit 38 home runs
in one game.
And so, inevitably, each time there's always a follower or somebody stumbles upon it and doesn't know the joke. And so somebody wrote to him, "Why did you present it like this?" And Jay wrote back, "Well, I wanted to show that no one has ever hit 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And he gets all the way up to 50 home runs in one game. There's his response right there.
What's his Twitter account?
Jay Cuda, Cuda. It is he did one like a White Sox World Series titles in the Paleozoic era, in the Bronze Age, in the modern day. And so it's 0-0 and then whatever they have, 3 or 4.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I'm going to have to scroll through that. I am now following Jake Cuda.
Jaycuda.
Oh, Jay Cuda. What was your funniest from the weekend, Drake?
I always love it when there's a Little League home run in the majors.
Runner takes off, and that ball's going to be chopped through the open right side. Margot's going to go to third. They're going to wave him around. The throw comes back to the infield. The runner has scored. Now the throw back into second base goes into center field, and that's going to give Diaz an opportunity, and he will circle the bases.
It's just the Red Sox not playing all that great this year, but I love a good Little League home run in the majors.
It's great. Yeah, absolutely. I did love the people there. Like, Mahomes didn't hit a home run in softball. Didn't go over the line. We should be running
It's
around.
true.
Well, it's not a home run.
It is true.
It's not a home run. I mean, jeez. My funniest is the Nuggets end up losing. The Miami Heat win. It's 1-1 heading back to Miami. And during the post-game show for the Denver Nuggets, they had a caller that called in who apparently was a Miami Heat fan that got on the air. Here's how that sounded. You'll just have to take my word for it. It was amazing. And he told a joke, and they laughed, and people were like, "Oh, I hate you."
Let's open up the phone lines to 303-504-0925. Nuggets lose. Carl, damn your eyes, man. Carl, you are next on In the Paint. Go ahead, Carl.
Hey, what's up, Nate? Thank you so much for taking my call.
For sure,
I wanted to talk about the adjustments that Michael Malone made tonight. I myself, I was watching the game from the new Flanagans by the arena, and the guy next to me, his name's Sedano, he kept saying in Spanish, "Bistec empanizada con mora y maduro," which loosely it translates to "culture chatter is in Denver radio." The Nuggets played like, "You coward! Let's go eat!"
Cool, Carl. Thank you for the call. We appreciate that.
Cool, Carl. So many things about that I love. One, I have no idea what he said. Two, he did the research to know that Flanagan's was a new restaurant that opened up next to the arena. And then Sedano, George Sedano, is a big Miami Heat fan and has done play-by-play for the Miami Heat. And then cool, Carl.
Cool, Carl.
Cool, Carl.
Finished with, "We appreciate it." They had to let us, they still let her know that we appreciate that call.
Also, that was the first call, as he said, "We'll open up the phone lines now in the postgame show. Let's bring in Carl." And it's a Miami Heat fan that's trolling the Denver Nuggets postgame show. Also, Terrell Davis was miserable during the game yesterday. Also my funniest. If you guys have not seen the meme now that's going on with Terrell Davis, who's sitting in the stands and was sitting next to two ladies who are Miami Heat fans. And every time something great happened, they would stand up and start high-fiving each other. And there's a meme with Terrell Davis looking like he is in hell with two ladies high-fiving over his head. They're high-fiving each other around him. And he's sitting there just mad. It's mad sad.
You
Terrell
can't
Davis.
pull for a Denver team, can you?
No.
What about a Miami team? That's where Tyreek plays.
Yeah, it's fine. Tyreek helped win a Super Bowl.
Broncos
way,
have been very cooperative in helping the Chiefs win Super
That's true.
Bowls.
Bottom of the 8th, still tied 2-2, Oklahoma and Stanford. Stanford, the home team, they are batting in the bottom of the 8th. There is first and second, and nobody out. There is now letting time pass.
And she wheels and deals. It's a bunt. It's popped up in the air.
It's not what happened. There was an out, though, that was recorded by the pitcher that was popped up to her on a bat that was placed just perpendicular to the
I think we parallel.
the ground.
I think we parallel.
Yeah, Jesus. Perpendicular to the ground.
That'd be a weird bunt.
That'd be an awesome bunt. It's parallel to the ground. So it's now first and second with one out. All right, Best, we start with you, Mick. Best from the weekend.
Happy anniversary to my parents. Their 50th anniversary. They're on this cross-country road trip. They just love to drive. And so on my dad's 50th, my mom's 50th, but on his, he got his 50th state. He got to his 50th state. Anybody want to guess what it was? What state it was?
Montana.
No, close.
Kansas.
Closer to Montana.
Wyoming.
Getting farther away.
Wyoming.
Closer. But I think both these
Idaho.
states touch it.
Idaho,
there you
I
go,
was going to say Idaho. Dang, yeah.
But
good
get
job.
this.
Nice
so
job.
my mom got her 50th 5 years ago, North Dakota. When they got married 50 years ago in 1973, my dad had been to 39 states. My mom had been to 10. And she got 55 years before him. My dad blew the ultimate 3-1 lead there. He had the ultimate 3-1 lead that he just blew. That's hard to do. In 50 years, he got 11 states. She got 40 and basically 45.
It was a 4-1 lead,
It
basically.
was,
If you're doing the math right now, that's a 4-1 lead.
But it can't be a 4-1
It was
lead.
3-1 lead, and they were up by 20 in the fourth
you're playing
quarter.
to 5. You're basically playing to 5 in the series
Best five,
of
one of those best 5 out of 9 series.
First to 5, yeah.
All right, Drake,
Very
what's your
common.
best?
Well, and then this another Red Sox thing. Joe Castiglione, the play-by-play guy for them, had something happen that happens to you a lot, Jason. Maybe if I'll get it to play.
Hemorrhoids?
No. Well.
Not making 50s.
Still only one out for Jose Siri. 4 men have reached base, 2 have scored.
Which Joseph?
Wait a minute. Did you hear that?
I don't know where that
Siri.
came from. That was Siri. That was Siri. Came through on the iPhone. Siri's at the plate. I'm not asking you, Siri.
So it's not just
Yes, not just me. I'll be talking, and every once in my
No
watch,
way,
my
okay.
watch will start talking to me, and it'll be writing everything that I'm saying. I'm like, I don't want people to write what I'm saying. My best was from the weekend, was from last night actually. Union Station darkened with just the arches and the fountains lit up in red and gold for Norma Hunt. It's a really cool scene, picture of that with just all you see is the red arches and then the fountain that was lit up. That was cool that Union Station did that. What was your best from the weekend, Sterling?
By the way, when you say, hey, Siri, or you say, hey, Sterling, a lot of times the Siri will actually light up like this, where I just said, hey, Sterling,
hey,
and
Sterling?
it shows up. The Siri does.
what if-
Very obnoxious. Yeah, not
what
fun.
if I say, hey, Jude?
Hey, dude.
Yeah, that's right.
My best is Casey helped raise over $3 million for Children's Mercy Hospital this weekend, which is phenomenal. Over $20 million raised in the past 13-ish years now. I just think that's so incredibly cool. They brought one of the kids on stage at the Big Slick, and just the emotion. I mean, there was not a dry eye out there. I mean, I was bawling. Everyone was.
Awesome.
Everyone was. It was just such a cool experience. So, over $3 million for Children's Mercy. So that was my best.
Yeah, that is a
Could have been $26 more, but your mom stole it from the kitty.
We'll take a time out. We'll come back, wrap up the. It's not true. Wrap up the show next.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch.
Series tied 1 apiece. Who's going to be crowned NBA's best? We don't know now. Is it Miami or is it Denver? The fight for the title is still on. An official sports betting partner of the NBA is DraftKings Sportsbook. New customers place a $5 bet during the NBA Finals and score $200 in bonus bets instantly. Plus, all customers can take a shot at bigger payouts with DraftKings stepped-up same-game parlays. Open the DraftKings Sportsbook app, opt in, and place your stepped-up same-game parlay by combining 3 or more bets from any NBA Finals game. You boost your NBA winnings with each leg. You add up to 100%. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Sign up with code 810WHB. New customers place a $5 bet. You score $200 in bonus bets instantly. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code 810WHB.
Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 800-522-4700. 21 plus, physically present in Kansas. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Opt-in and 10 plus leg required for 100% boost. Eligibility, wagering, and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball terms. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort.
Sprains, strains, and fractures happen in everyday life.
All right, thank you, Mick. Appreciate it. Thank you, Sterling. Appreciate you as well. Yeah, both of you.
You should.
Love you, love your show. Yeah. Josh will be back tomorrow.
No.
We think. We don't know. I haven't heard from him in like 2.5 weeks. I saw him at his wedding, and that's the last time I talked to him.
Did he get married or retire?
Both.
Was that a retirement celebration?
He married rich.
There we
It's
go.
like Corey.
Nice.
Corey got married and retired.
Everybody in that seat.
That's weird. Right there. You get married and you're
Congratulations. Few years, you're going to have a sugar mama.
Yeah.
Wow.
Do you have a sugar mama?
I learned that. I learned something new today. There we go.
Do you have a sugar mama?
Do you think his car key is going to work? Do you think it's the card to get into 810? We should switch that.
Ask Drake. We'll see if that's the case. He's trying to take his job. Thank you, guys. All right, we will talk to you tomorrow. Have a good day. Program up next. Stanley Cup Finals game 2 tonight.
Warm weather is just around the corner.